Subscribe today, Tommy, if you love movies.
Hey, look at boobies. I like movies. Hey, Cinema Gulp, where are ya? Help!
Hey, take it easy.
But I lost Cinema Gulp.
Stay calm. Just go to YouTube to subscribe and hit the bell for all the latest videos.
Hey, we're Cinema Gulp, and we drink your cinema.
Thanks, Joe. Now I can subscribe.
And subscribing is half the battle.
That's what I'm talking. Do it up again! You know what? You don't have an answer for that, do you? F you, man. I'm sorry.
I like beer. It makes me a jolly good fellow.
Hey, remember when.
Is this thing on?
And we're live. Hello. I keep forgetting which intro to use because me and Scotty did kind of a one-off, which maybe we can make a thing called Shot in the Beer. Fun. And I almost accidentally played that intro instead. But welcome everybody to Cinema Gulp Hump Day Happy Hour. Triple H, if you consider Hump Day one word, which we do here. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Go around the table. Scotty's got his PBR. Joanne, what are you up to?
I actually just have water right now, so I might need to leave in the middle of the show and go get some vodka.
There you go. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
All right. Awesome.
I'm pulling it in. And John's got either a milkshake or a Coke.
Del Taco iced tea.
Nice.
Is it sweet tea?
Nah.
Okay.
I don't even put sugar in it anymore. Just regular old, tastes like water, basically.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, let's go around the horn. He is the Ayatollah, Flat Coca-Cola. The Frodo Baggins of Asgard. It is Scotty R37. Master of Misfits and Muppets. It's Joanne. Elvira. The cinema to my gulp. It's John. Come on, play. And Bob X on his way. He says he's on his way. Hopefully he's got some better, he had better audio when he came on for the Star Wars thing, which was a lot of fun. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Crimson Tide, John. 30 years.
Nice.
Yeah, right. Dude, perfect
30th
timing,
anniversary
dude.
was Monday.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's perfect timing. Yeah. Yeah, Crimson Tide, small budget if you consider how it was made and you know, even though you find, you think of it as like a bottle movie where it's like everything's contained in one area, it still looks expensive. It looks glorious and epic. And it only had a $53 million budget, which is pretty good for back then. And worldwide, it tripled that. So I guess that's a success. Yeah. You know, you'll have to factor in all those little details and stuff, but yeah, for sure. Before we get going on that, you guys want to do box office roll? Actually, let's check in with the chat for a second here.
Lemon.
Let's see. Hey, Lemon. Thanks for being here. Oh, it's all Lemon. Okay, thanks, Lemon.
Lemon's
Hail,
a good fan.
Hail, Scotty. Hi, also to Joanne and Stark. Just lie and say your water is beer. I know. I've been telling them to do that forever. We got made one day when we did the Aliens Chug show. We got all these like really nasty comments, and some of them were directed at Joanne. Like people just know when you're not drinking, like they know
I was always drinking.
you were, but you didn't have a chuggable drink. So this person goes, so is this show about how long someone can hold a glass up to their face?
I make strong drinks. I can't chug them.
No, I know. It's I know. It's just kind of funny, but it is easy to tell when someone's full.
I'm always chugging like Gatorade or chocolate.
Yeah,
milk.
I know because me and
alcoholic.
Brian are always having to like take a breather to let the suds settle, from the beer.
Or I was sucking blood from a severed head one time.
Yeah, see, you make it very interesting though. You're like, okay, I'm not gonna drink, but I'm gonna make it weird and like and have it go with the theme, and it's fun. So here is, let's see. really quickly, won't take long on this because it's all kind of a slug right now, but Thunderbolt's still at number 1. Not doing that good though. I saw it last night. I kind of really liked it. Haven't really been interested in Marvel movies in quite a while. I saw Guardians 3, and then I didn't see another one till Deadpool, and then I didn't see another one till this one. But I got to say, I really enjoyed it. I connected with the characters quite a bit. It was fun. It was funny. Very low, small scale. Not epic. Just really kind of small scale, and I think it was better for it. Yeah, one of the better Marvel movies of the past few years. Sinner's still crushing.
But Ben, does it feel like one I could wait for Disney Plus for?
Yeah, if you want.
It doesn't seem like it's got much of an impact on the MCU overall, so I can just kind of wait and catch
it. Has quite a bit, actually. It has quite a bit of impact.
Oh.
But cinematically, you could wait. Like, it's not like, holy shit, I need to see.
Well, the scary thing is, I hear they're potentially thinking of this director to take on an X-Men movie.
Well, that's fine because he did I would approve because he did a really good job with these characters and juggling all these characters.
Well, I hope he's a good director because whoever they're handing that to, they should be someone who can wow us.
He's a competent director. The movie felt cohesive. It didn't seem like I'd heard all these things about like the Captain America Brave New World. What felt like it was just so stitched together. I never saw it, but this one did not. It was very cohesive. It was focused. It was paced really good. I think it's really solid. I recommend it highly. It's just a fun movie, and Wyatt Russell as U.S. Agent John Walker, he's fucking great. He's so great in it. All of them are great in it. Actually, I never thought I would say this, but I like Ghost now. She was like a minor villain in like a minor Ant-Man movie, and she was fucking hilarious in this movie. I was like, wow, and she's extremely beautiful, so that helps too. But yeah,
Scotty.
You're right. I am the chat. Yes, you are the chat right now. But yeah, Sinner's still crushing, doing really good. I'm glad to see that because it's a really good movie. Minecraft, Jesus Christ, that movie's still hanging in there. Yeah, and that's it for box office. Box office will be longer when crazy releases come out and bigger movies and stuff like that, but it's still fascinating to see Sinners still doing so well, and it deserves it. It's really good. One of the movies that was missing in there, because sometimes Box Office Mojo, it has like little glitches where you don't see things, and that was The Accountant 2, which is fine. It's fun. I don't know how much it costs to make, but it's just, I don't even think it's going to make $100 million worldwide, which is kind of sad, but it's fine. It's good. It's kind of like what's a movie that was serious and then its sequel was funny? It's one of those. Like the sequel's treated like a comedy.
But that's another one that I've already kind of told myself, I'll wait for streaming. Might as well make
totally wait. There's nothing in that movie that you need to see in the theater. It's mostly just really funny banter between Barenthal and Affleck.
Well, that'll be entertaining then.
No, it is. Yo, shoot.
Hey, Comic Relief.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. Welcome. I can't remember if you've been on or not, but I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Oh yeah, no, he's kicked around.
No, I mean, I know he is. I mean, he helped share our stuff to help get us to our goal for our 9 year. So, but anyway, I'm still
speaking
waiting
of
for
which, we need a countdown or a bumper or something, because we are in the midst of shooting for a tattoo.
Nobody cares but us, though.
I know, but I think that we should have a goal collectively and say, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we will do for you. We're not going to give you a tattoo.
The funny thing is
do you have the telethon clips that you could play?
Yeah, I could do that, but like technically, I want to make sure we're over 1,010. So, because if it hits 1,000 and then it drops, but I'm hoping John here can be there and do some quick photos or video of it when it's getting put on my back. We'll see.
We need to have
Somebody
the
can do it.
tramp stamp telethon.
Oh yeah, it's actually gonna be on my left cheek. Yeah.
Love it.
Where would you get it for real?
No, it's gonna go right there because
Okay.
I have my mom on this side of my back, so I'm gonna have Cinema Gulp on the other side.
Wow.
Get that
Yeah.
Wayland Utani on the other side, right there.
There, you can get that.
I know.
That's
I
more for
almost
you.
did at one point.
Damn right, because I loves you. We love you too, man. Love you too. One more, and then we'll get into it, guys. Okay, I'd rather call him John because I already know his start. Yeah. But John is the original Stark because he's been on here for a very long time. Well, you don't know a Stark, you know a Tony.
Yeah.
I'm a real Stark.
There you go.
Kind of.
Hey, I
There's a
heard Jeanette
backstory to that.
Goldstein say your name, so I'm pretty sure that's confirmation.
That's true.
I'm legally a Stark, but it's
She
all
did-
made
you are.
up.
She
It's
did
all
say you
Hollywood.
always
It's all
were an
made up.
asshole, Stark. Yeah.
By birth. Before we get into the Crimson Tide, I just want to give a couple of birthday shout outs. Two of the biggest directors of my childhood, just in terms of shaping two of my favorite movies. We got George Lucas turns 81, and
Wow.
Robert Zemeckis turns 73.
Right.
Born on the
So-
same day, huh? Or well, same.
Yeah,
And they
Same
both
day of
have
the
a
year.
big Spielberg tie too, right? Like they've
Oh, yeah.
both done a lot with Spielberg, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Back to the Future was produced by Steven
Hamlin.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
And
we
then
got
obviously,
Hamlin ties.
Yep, Indiana Jones, directed, written.
Will the real Stark
Will the real
stand
Stark
up?
please stand up? Please stand up.
Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to play a quick clip to get us in the mood for Crimson Tide.
Anything less? You should have joined the Air Force.
I love that line.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. John, you want to start us off? So I'm
There's
hoping
not a lot of humor in this movie, but when it's there, it's great.
when it's there, it really stands out. But
Yeah.
it's a fucking tense movie. I mean, if you're talking about tension in films, this may be up there in the top 10. I'm not even exaggerating. If you think of the consequences and what's going on in this movie, and that they never once show you what's happening above the surface,
Right.
it's with paranoia, but it's treated in a Tony Scott way. So it's not like Solaris underwater, it's like it almost feels like an action movie, but it's not.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a thriller, I guess. It's easier to classify it as a thriller, but often in the simple form of classifying movies, thrillers kind of fall into action in the way that I see it. So yes, I would say it's an action movie at its heart.
Yeah, I mean,
It's also a drama, though. I think, especially when you see the performances you get out of everybody in the movie, but the leads specifically, their back and forth definitely makes it a drama of the highest regard, in my opinion. I think both of them they both are two of the finest actors ever, but these are two of their best performances, in my opinion.
I agree. And you still have your kind of youngish Denzel. I don't want to say he's young, but he's probably like maybe pushing 40 in this movie. Maybe no, I don't know how old he is. But then you have your Viggo Mortensen, James Gandolfini. Jesus,
They look
Christ.
young.
Ryan
Yeah.
Philippe.
Oh yeah,
Steve
the
Zahn.
cast is stacked. Cast is filled out with all kinds of familiar faces.
That's right, Steve Zahn. Yeah, he's got that line. And then who's the guy from Titanic who talks like this?
Fabrizio.
Yeah, I forgot that was Fabrizio. I was wondering why.
Fabrizio.
Danny
Yeah.
Nucci.
Yeah, this guy.
Well, I said that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer, and that the Mobius Silver Surfer was shit. And Benefield's a big Mobius fan, and things got out of hand. I pushed him, he pushed me.
Now, everybody that reads comic books knows that Kirby Silver Surfer is the only true Silver Surfer. Now, am I right or wrong?
You're right, sir. You're a fucking nerd.
Doesn't that kind of stick out a little bit, that dialogue?
Well, you know why, right?
Well, I know why. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go over all the details.
No, we
Maybe
can
we'll
get
talk
into
about
that,
it more
yeah.
there, but I think that sticks out a little strange.
It does.
But I have a quick question. Morbius. He
yeah.
mentions Morbius. Is he talking
Mobius.
about
Mobius?
Yeah, it was
Mobius. Mobius is an artist.
See, that's what I took it as the person, either the artist or the writer of the comic book. But then because there is that comic connection to a Morbius, I was a little confused. Of like, wait, is he somehow talking about Morbius, the vampire character,
The
or
living
whatever?
vampire.
No, he's talking about Mobius, who there's
Bobak looking good. Oh wait,
Hey, Lily. What's up, darling? Hey, I want to say hello. I want to say hello to Jedi Master 2022 Lost in
Hey,
Space
Master.
Classic Sci-Fi. What's
Hi.
up, dude? GE Elvirus.
Hey.
Hey,
Good
comic.
evening.
Oh, I missed a bunch of them. Hey, Scotty.
Hey.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Stark. GE Elvirus again.
All right, I'm the winner.
What's up, Bobak?
How you doing, guys?
Good, man. Good to have you here.
Good to see
Ooh,
you. Thanks for having
Pikachu.
me. She's
Yeah,
my little
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
She looks like she's having a ball in that too.
She is really, really upset. I'm surprised she's not bawling her eyes out right now.
Aw.
Yeah, everything will set her off, so I'll be on mute. But anyway, good to see you guys.
Yeah, you
Good to see
too,
you,
man.
man.
Oh, Lily, smile, baby. You're so cute. You got so much life left. Be happy,
I know,
about
right?
that.
Yeah, it's not all downhill yet. Don't worry. You still have
My life is over when you hit high school.
Okay,
Be happy.
we're getting a little too metaphysical. All right,
Now
I'm
you're
on
making
mute.
her
I'm
cry.
on mute.
Oh my God! I just want to wait. Hold on.
Oh.
Hi. Hi. Oh, sweetheart. Hi.
Maybe it's your background.
Yeah.
It could be,
It's
yeah.
like burned to a crisp.
Could be the
Glover or
charred
whatever his name is,
person.
Hayden Christensen. But
I would
John,
like
what
to
were-
see Crispin Glover play Darth Vader. That
oh
would
yeah,
be
I don't know why the hell I just said Crispin Glover. I think I was thinking of Crispy something. So
Yeah, no, we got it. We got it.
what were we talking about, John?
Not
Crimson
Crispin
Tide.
No, I know
Oh, wait,
Crimson
Robert
Tide.
Zemeckis.
No,
Uh,
Mobius and the
talking
Silver
about-
Surfer
Oh, yeah,
conversation, how it sort
We
of
were
stuck
just
out like a
talking
sore
about
thumb.
talking about.
Hey, everybody. Who's going?
No,
We were kind of
it
talking
kinda
about the
does-
little
it
moment
kinda
about
does.
comics, but I don't know if you want to go into the script and the script doctoring and all of that right now.
No, we can wait on that. But I 100% agree with you. It stands out because it's never really brought up again, and it doesn't feel like part of Hunter's character, So
Well, it is
I
meant to
find it
show.
fits.
I mean, I get why it's there to show him connecting to the crew in a way that the captain doesn't and isn't
I'm just
interested in
nitpicking,
doing.
yeah.
'Cause
It's a
that's
great
not his
scene.
role, but-
Great scene. I'm just nitpicking it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
Let's do it again.
interesting and strange story how it ended up in there. But yeah, we'll get to that later.
In terms of the characterization, it does show up again when he refers to Kirk and Scotty and everything. And so it is just his way of
Yeah.
relating to the, for lack of a term, lower deckers.
Oh yeah, when he's talking to the actor turned murderer, who's like, yeah, we need more warp speed. Because
Did
didn't
he
that
turn
guy?
into a murderer?
Didn't he murder somebody? He murdered his girlfriend or something. Like
I didn't know. Let's find out.
because he was in another Tony Scott movie. He was in Enemy of the State for one scene, and then after that, I think there's this crazy story because he was great as he was Vossler.
Yeah, that's I was always somewhat confused. Vossler and then the Danny Nucci character, like they're kind of similar, but like one of them's in the radar room and one of them's in the radio room, I believe. And it's like, I don't know, they're just similar moments between the two. It's kind of confusing.
They're Goombas.
And they're Goombas.
They're both like, hey, I'm in a Tony
That guy
Scott
killed his
movie.
girlfriend or something? That sucks.
I'm trying to find Vossler on the freaking thing and I can't find him. But yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I think if he didn't kill someone, he went to jail for a long time for a heinous crime. I just can't remember.
Well,
exactly.
yeah, he's had legal troubles.
I always go to murder.
Matthew Broderick them.
There was a robbery. a Bronx apartment robbery in 2005, and yeah.
Where did I
Apparently-
get he killed his girlfriend from? Maybe
I don't
that
know.
was from a movie or something. You know what? That might have been his character in Enemy of the State. I don't know. Anyway, I want to say hello to Dark Fighter. Thanks for being here. My favorite Denzel Washington movie. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Good taste right there, dude. But yeah, where do you want to pick up on, John? How about you want to go around? You start, John. Like just quick, easy thoughts about the film.
Sure. Yeah.
As it approaches 30.
Well, I remember seeing it in the theater. Great experience. 95, the start of the summer. I think I said in another video, like, even though this takes place in October, all of Tony Scott's movies, especially like his 80s and 90s movies, just give me kind of a summer feel. And even though this one, it's just like all the sweatiness of the characters and everything, you can just feel the heat of the situation. The nuclear heat going on above on the surface. It's just like, it's just tension and everything feels hot in this movie. And so it's a movie that makes me think of summer. So it's great that we're watching it right now, kind of at the start, the kickoff of the summer. I actually watched it this weekend when it was super hot. So it was it kind of gave me that the nostalgic feeling of seeing it that first time. And yeah, it's just like you were saying, Ben, tension filled, up there with one of the most tension filled movies. Many submarine movies are going to be that way. Like, that's just the situation. I personally could never put myself in the situation of being in a real submarine. I don't think so. I'm just not cut out for that. The claustrophobia of it all, and just the what you're dealing with when you actually get into a situation down there and things go wrong. I'm not cut out for that.
Yeah.
But I love watching.
I've been in a submarine a couple of times.
That's what I was wondering.
It wasn't underwater. It wasn't underwater, but I was in it.
You know, we'll get to it later in the video, but I have some kind of military questions for you about your knowledge of submarines and whatnot. But
no, but I was kidding. I haven't been in one that was actually submerged.
Well, you still might know what some of the terminology that I was questioning is. But
okay, yeah.
So
this movie's so complex, man. Like you said it best. It's like this was a summer blockbuster. I mean, came out in May. I mean, May wasn't really quite summer blockbuster in the mid 90s. It was always kind of, remember, John, it always started in June. Then it was May, and now it's almost like April where they do them. But like, it's such a complex movie with complex characters and ideology, and it's so smartly written. And Tony Scott doesn't get in the way of the ideas of the movie. He just adds to creating the tension of it, which is what made him such a great director. And yeah, everyone's just soaked in fucking sweat in this movie. And he does that a lot. Top Gun, everyone's soaked in sweat. And I don't know if this was true in the 80s, 90s, whatever. I didn't join the military till 99, but I don't think you could smoke a cigar in a submarine.
I was wondering about that. I was like,
I'm pretty sure you can't.
For the captain, I think you can get away with it, but the whole crew was smoking, which I questioned.
Yeah, they're all smoking cigarettes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I don't think you could have a dog in there either. But I don't think the dog's
captain can get away with a lot.
I don't think the dog's lungs can handle that shit. But anyway, yeah. So, how about Bob? I wanted to have you on because I know you're big. You know, you're fascinated with military stuff. You're a historian. What do you think of Crimson Tide?
You know, honestly, like I hadn't really watched it all the way through, so I checked it out last night, and I was really into it. I thought it was really well put together. It is. So I have like a genre of movies that I dislike. I call it Five Guys in the Woods, where it's like, this is contained environment. There's only like a certain number of people, and you have to like sell it in a certain way. So it's like, oh, we're on a submarine, you know? So, okay, cool. And it's just a lot of like, I'm the bigger man. No, I'm the bigger man, you know? So it's very kind of formulaic in that way, but I did really like a lot of things about it, considering it was 1995. And that was a time where it was very current. The movie was very current at that time of like, you have this breakaway Russian rebel guy that's named Vlad, you know, and like he's got all these nukes and stuff. And that stuff just came back again in the Ukraine war with the warlord that, you know, his airplane then fell out of the sky. I forget his name, but, you know, you have a Russian mutiny going on back in 95 fictitiously. And it was after the coups and counter coups and stuff when the fall of the war and all that. So it really felt like the situation was almost more relevant today than it was back at that time, but at the same time, it was really relevant then. So I really love it from that perspective. But another thing is that it was very psychological. And spoiler alert, I'm going full Freud on you guys on this, okay? We're talking about a large, phallic, powerful object and whether or not you shoot, okay? And so we're getting there. So this is very Freudian. You've got the id and the super ego, and they're battling it out and stuff. And I can't wait to get into it. I got a lot to say, but it was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of mental stimulation out of it. So I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. That's cool. I hadn't thought about those Freudian elements, but it makes sense, you know. We know which one is the id there, you know. It's like which one's
long,
thinking
hard tube filled with semen.
Most powerful object ever created.
Except for the magic show, everyone in this movie is a seaman.
That's true. Yeah, they are all seamen, and they're battling it out. Which one is going to be on top? You know.
Well,
and you also the chief
Johnny,
of the
technically
boat,
all the people at the magic show started as seamen as well.
Oh, that's true too.
The chief of the boat in this movie is played by the guy that was the partner in Basic Instinct, and I can't remember his name. He's fucking
George
great.
Zunda.
Oh,
He is fucking great in this movie. Yeah.
He's great.
I always love seeing George Zunda. I remember him back from Law and Order.
Hey, I want to say hello to DJ Play Nice.
I think I think Tony Scott, like I like to credit directors often for their visual style, and like I like to think that the actors come with what they come with. Sure, great directors get something special out of great actors as well, and their input is important to get that performance. But I like to disconnect it somewhat in my mind and be like, the actor did the acting and the director did the directing. But Tony Scott did an amazing job in this film, I think. Like, because I think certain actors really step it up and excel, and they do a lot of subtle work. Not that they haven't in other films, and especially not with the leads. Like they can do subtle acting, you know, like nobody's business. But guys like you're talking about, George, whatever his name is, the chief of the boat, like just the subtleties and his looks all throughout the movie. And I think a lot of that probably comes from Tony Scott, you know, and the script selling these moments. And it's just like all these wonderful wordless moments all throughout this movie that means so much. They say so much, even though they're wordless. And it's all just the way that Scott captures the reactions of everybody that's going on you. And to Bobak's point, you know, all this is taking place in a tight space. You can't get away from anybody. You know, they're trying to have these conversations, and everyone's overhearing it, and the tensions
everyone's
are
overhearing it. Yeah, yeah.
It's just
And
shot
that's the thing,
captured so wonderfully. It's a little play. Bobak, I know you say you don't like that kind of like bottle movie where everything.
Well, it's called a bottle movie. Yeah,
kind of bottle movie. But man, there's so many good versions of that, you know, and this is one of them, in my opinion.
But I think it helps if it's not as you said, Five Guys in the Woods, because I'm immediately thinking, oh, right, Deliverance. You're
Deliverance.
And so I do get that, but like, I get that. And when it's sort of like a pissing contest, but I guess if you expand the ensemble, you get less of that because there's more teams and sides, and like, it's not as, you know, even Top Gun is not as confined, but it is sort of who's got the bigger dick. I mean, it's like, ride your tail anytime kind of thing.
You bring up a great point. This movie the tension, yes, but it nails the factions that start building at the beginning of the movie. Like, you're introduced to characters that right off the bat, you're like, okay, James Gandolfini's character is going to be kind of an asshole and probably on the bad side, you know. And then you have a couple other characters, and then Vigo's the bridge, because they establish that he's already personal friends with Hunter, you know. Excuse me. Yeah, the movie does a fucking fantastic job of setting up those factions, and the looks, like John, you were saying, the camera work and the edits of cutting at that dinner table scene where he's talking about, so you wouldn't want this, and he's like, nuclear war, nuclear holocaust, and they're having that first discussion where they know they're going to clash, and it's always cutting to the other players of the other factions during that scene and during that discussion. It's so compelling. It's so fucking good.
So that scene is a perfect example, I think, as well as the interview scene where they're interviewing Denzel for the position. There is so much like the dialogue that's being said is not what's being said in those scenes, which is so awesome. Like all the reactions and the looks and just the way that they're capturing the moment between those people says other things than the words that are coming out of their mouth. But the words coming out of their mouth are saying important things as well, informing the character building moments. And they're entertaining, they're intriguing, they're inspiring. Like the dialogue in this movie is so fabulous. It does so many wonderful things. It's precise when it needs to be. But there are moments like that where there's two things being said at the same time, one by the looks and one by the words. And it's so fucking great.
And you get that, you pick up on that the first time you see it, but the more you watch it, you know they're speaking a different language because one is testing one and one is humoring the other to an extent where he's giving a look like, I see what you're doing and I'm firing back, but I'm not firing back at full capacity, I mean, scenes like this.
Dumb as fence post, but very intuitive. In that way, they're not too different from high school girls.
Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, no, he didn't just say, oh, no, he's in.
Can you even say that anymore? He's talking about the Lippens on her stallions, which is a huge metaphor in this movie. And another, like John was saying, another great piece of writing because they're completely talking about something else in that scene.
Is that a dick measuring contest right there?
Is
that Freud slipping back in to the conversation?
Hey, Joanne, what about yourself? This movie?
So it was actually my first time finally watching this movie last weekend. I had never seen it.
Well, hey, I'm glad we got you to watch it.
Yeah, hopefully you got to watch it uninterrupted because you don't want to really miss anything when you watch it.
Yeah. No, it was perfect. It was perfectly quiet when I was watching. I was able to concentrate and everything. And it was great. I mean, I don't know why I hadn't watched it before. Maybe because like war movies aren't really my favorite genre, not specifically submarine, just like, general war movies. And I do like certain war movies. There are some that are fantastic, but it's just not the usual like type of movie I jump on. But I was actually pleasantly surprised because it didn't really feel completely like a war movie. It was like really a thriller drama, as you guys mentioned. And I love bottle movies. I just love that kind of situation because I think I love character-driven movies. I like to get to know the characters, and those bottle movies are what it establishes that. It kind of forces you to establish that, I think. So that's probably why I like those. And it kind of keeps things focused, so it's not all over the place. It's just, I think it just keeps my attention that way.
That's a good way to put it. It's focused. It's very focused.
Yeah. There's not too much extraneous stuff going on to distract from the story. So, and then, obviously the cast, especially the two main stars, obviously fantastic actors. So that got me excited about seeing it too. And they did an excellent job. The whole thing was, I was pleasantly surprised at how entertained I was by the movie from start to finish.
Since you had never seen it before, were you on the edge of your seat with the situation they find themselves in? Did you find yourself picking a side in the scenario? Or
pretty much right away, I was with Denzel's character. I would have from the beginning. I was like, he's the more intelligent one. I felt like they established that from the beginning, and I was like, this guy is more level-headed and rational, and intelligent. Like he establishes at that little dinner scene with they're having the tea or whatever.
Yes, which is a fascinating scene. Yeah.
Denzel is always the
him.
smartest guy in the room in any movie that he's in.
He pretty much is.
That's the role that he plays. And that Nanaya has sworn off anytime I'm like, hey, I'm going to watch something with Denzel. She's like, no, I'm sick of him being the smartest guy in the room.
I think the only time he's not is maybe Training Day and He Got Game. Other than that.
What's the Denzel Washington movie with Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Bob Hoskins, and
Heart Condition.
Yeah, and he's dead. He plays a ghost.
He plays a ghost. Yeah.
I want to see that.
Probably
movie.
He's the smartest dead cop ghost there is.
Yeah.
Still, it sounds awesome.
But yeah, he's.
But no, yeah, Joanne,
that scene well.
That scene's so good. And what was I going to say? Denzel, like he has this sort of so in the military. So this movie, if I were to pit it in like Navy terms, you have your old salt versus your Ricky, and they call you Ricky anytime in the military, anytime in the Navy when you're a recruit of something new. So you have this new XO, which is an executive officer. So he's a Ricky, and the old salt is, the old school guy. And that's, so I agree with you, Joanne, that like Denzel's smarter because he's that new generation of Navy officer who's like Harvard bred and blah, blah, blah. And you have Gene Hackman's character who was probably an enlisted, then went to warrant officer and then became an officer and then a captain or whatever. But and they're two completely different. One's Vietnam vet and one's probably not, So the ideologies are always going to be so different. So
yeah, they throw it out there that it's kind of in two different scenes, but they go over the resume for Denzel, and Harvard bred and like he's book smart and he's top of his class on all the things that you need that the new school is learning and not like he's just out of school or whatever, but like he's definitely that newer generation in the Navy. And then the qualifications for Gene Hackman, they're like walking through the hallway at one point, and Gandolfini and the other guys are like talking about the battles that he's actually seen and the conflicts he's actually been involved in. It's like that's his resume.
And you know why they're talking about that is because what the movie's trying to say is that the seasoned vet is always going to be more of a hothead in this kind of situation. And I know that sounds weird because normally you would think they're the ones that are calmer, but the Harvard mouth is the one that's looking at this from a different perspective. And, stay the course and keep consistent with the wishes of the Navy and the military and America, the country. And the one that's seen a lot of shit is going, I know what's going down. I know that this is fucked. We have to fucking strike first, and that's not for every single veteran, veteran of something like that, but
But
I agree with you, but my sort of perspective on that, and they do address it in the dinner, the tea time conversation, is Gene Hackman is sort of like, okay, well, I'm the kind of captain who I'm told what to do and I know how to do it. And you, Mr. Hunter, seem to be of a generation that you're told what to do, you know how to do it, but you're expected to know why.
Yeah.
Or you're allowed to question why, as opposed to these are the orders, follow them. And that's where the crux of the whole thing. I don't think it's a matter of stupidity.
No.
And Jason,
I meant more like
no.
instinct or what's the word I'm looking for? Just
different philosophy.
I think
almost
you got it right.
Like different philosophy, almost a generational gap. That's why it's almost like I don't know. At times it's antagonistic to be sure, but they part as somewhat equals. And
and we'll get to that.
They do it is a matter of procedure, and the interpretation of procedure is what Captain Hackman, I forget
Ramsey.
the character's name. Ramsey. That's
Captain
what
Luther. Captain Luther.
Yeah, Captain.
Yeah,
Luther.
right. Yeah.
Captain Tenenbaum. But yeah, and we have the orders. We're supposed to follow them. Why are you asking why? There is nothing here to countervene what we've been issued. This is not an order. This is a nothing. I have to follow the orders that I got. And that's really where the crux of it comes. And even with Cobb, and he says Denzel goes up to Cobb and says, thank you. And he's like, thank you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah. I did exactly what was required by the orders that I have been given by the United States Navy. I am following that rule book. And it's
Dude, honestly, in the real situation, everybody would think like that. There wouldn't be any, like, Cobb is the perfect Navy guy, because that's all you would think about, because you're always thinking about what's this going to do to you. You know, if you disobey orders, what's it going to do to you? So there is no like, well, you know, he's got a point. You just don't do that as much as you want to, you know?
And it is interesting because it is in the face of nuclear holocaust, as we are with, as
she likes to say a lot in that movie.
relishes saying. But like, I think he's also being like, on his own, it's not a matter of interpretation. It's like, no, the reason that there are safeguards in terms of having the captain and the XO agree or concur in the course of action that is being presented, that is a safety. That is a fail-safe for making sure that no one can run off Marco Ramius style and steal a submarine. And that's where Cobb comes in. Like, he has to be the third-party arbitrator. And I like that.
And we're really only given maybe one news broadcast at the beginning of the film when they're at like a baby shower or a birthday party. I think it's a birthday party. And that's just showing, what's his name? Rashenko. I think it's Rashenko. Yeah.
Mr. Kruger.
He's got a stronghold and, you know, is the US going to be called or whatever? And this is a crazy fact, but as much as we know, like, firefights in the air, like air battles don't really happen anymore. Like, submarines are always down there with nuclear weapons, you know? So submarines are always down there, you know? So this movie, it shows that. It's no joke. Everybody's red in this movie, just like John's background. Everybody's red.
but Viggo Morton, is red and blue. He's because he is the crux of the story. Which way is he going to go?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, the lighting.
And I'm like, where's the fucking blue light from? I see no blue light sources anywhere.
I think it's on the screen or something like that.
Those are green. Those are green screens.
No, the lighting is amazing in this.
No,
movie.
but you're so right about that. And that symbolism, that's what Tony Scott does, you know.
But it's the metaphor. Which way is he going to go? Is he going to go hard red conservative? Is he going to go more blue liberal peaceful? You know, like, which way is he going to go? Because he's the weapons. He's the guy with the key to the keys.
He is.
Like all the launch keys. He's got the key to the launch keys, and
dude,
that's why he's like, which way is he going to go?
Gene Hackman is going to blow a fucking airman,
like random dude,
one's head off. You know,
you know who that was? Scott Grimes from Critters.
No fucking
that was
way.
Scott Grimes.
Yeah. So this
from
movie
the
has all
Orville?
kinds of like people who
From
show
the
up
Orville,
and they barely even notice they're in it. Ryan Philippi, you barely notice he's there, but he is there. Scott Grimes is there. Obviously, Ricky Schroeder with one pivotal, wonderful scene.
Oh my God, we'll get to Ricky Schroeder. I got a lot to say about Ricky Schroeder in this movie.
But like all these little moments, like even Steve Zahn, you know, he's in a couple scenes, but one that's very important. Like his demise is very important. Basically, takes a torpedo to the face.
Steve Zahn has been 30 years old for 30 years. Like, he was just in White Lotus. He looks exactly the same as he does in Saving Silverman. Yeah. Sorry.
Moment of silence for Steve Zahn, I guess.
Sorry. But no, there's so many great. And when we get to the attack at the bridge, we'll talk about, you know, our Gandolfinis and our other guys.
I do want to say one thing about Gandolfini, and I do want to also address it as being part of only Tony Scott movies that I've seen, is whenever James Gandolfini shows up in a Tony Scott movie, he has to do that weird Kubrickian 100-yard stare where
Yeah.
it's like, you're obviously thinking about something sinister, sir. I would love to play poker with you someday.
He is, man. In this movie, like, he seems so unhinged even before like shit goes down, and when he finally gets a chance to, like, we're gonna fucking take back this mutiny, and he's holding that gun, that look in his face, he looks like he's about to beat Alabama Worley half to death. In that scene. Westergaard, that's the guy I was thinking of. Rocky Carroll as Westergaard. Yeah, he's another one of those guys.
But I just, I don't care for James Gandolfini in this film or in True Romance.
Yeah, True Romance.
And that is specifically because I'm not supposed to. So good job, James Gandolfini.
Right.
So you just don't care for his character, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen movies with James Gandolfini and I've liked him, but I'm just saying, in the Tony Scott movies that I've seen, he is exactly what he is supposed to be. When you have to see the color evil, then here it is.
Yep, I noticed that too.
So I have a question about James Gandolfini's character, which will somewhat be a segue into the script doctor of this movie. So clearly he's written to be a movie fan who seems to love submarine movies, right? And he's calling out who's the actor in this one, who's the actor in that one. Well, when they say run silent, run deep, he even calls out the guy with the ears and the mustache. And then he follows that up with Cary Grant. Is that Cary Grant?
No, it's Clark Gable, yo.
It's Clark Gable. So he gets it wrong. But that line is written by Quentin
People always
Tarantino.
confuse those two.
So did Quentin Tarantino get it wrong on purpose to make him a stupid movie fan? Or did he get it wrong because Quentin Tarantino seriously wrote the wrong?
There's no way Tarantino got that wrong.
Exactly. I don't believe that. I think he's being written to be kind of an idiot there, that he doesn't know his facts.
And that's why he chose the wrong side.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's the reason why. Yeah. Well, if he had liked Mobius' Silver Surfer more, he would have, been on the But hey, Theta, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being here.
That Silver Surfer was the most forced bit of dialogue in the whole.
Why don't we get to that, John? Because
that's what I'm saying. This is a segue
Yeah.
into the script doctor of the movie and his influences on the movie. But that's why I was wondering if he specifically wrote him to get that info wrong, which does make him look a little stupid to some degree.
So
it's like Randy in Scream 2 saying the wrong lines from Aliens when he's correcting a guy and saying, no, the line is actually this way, and he says it wrong. It's like, fuck you, idiot. You're supposed to be a smart movie fan.
So the screenwriter of Crimson Tide is a guy named Michael Schiffer. Really weird career. His first screenwriting credit was Colors, which was the gangbanger movie from the 80s with Sean Penn. Then he did Lean on
Robert
Me.
Duvall, I might add.
Yeah, and then he did Lean on Me, which was a similar sort of, Joe Clark story about the school filled with that gang people. And then he did Crimson Tide, and then 2 years later he did The Peacemaker with Nicole Kidman and Clooney. Oh. Then he wrote The Four Feathers, which is like a Heath Ledger, Wes Bentley movie. And then he did nothing else except for write for video games. Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty Finest Hour.
Big money.
So his career's been kind of strange. But it makes sense why he wrote this. I think out of those lists of movies, this is his best screenplay by a mile, maybe more than a mile. But the script doctor everyone's talking about, specifically some of those scenes that John's talking about with the movie, the submarine movies, and then the Silver Surfer. Tarantino took a hit into this movie, and he became friends with Tony Scott after Tony Scott directed True Romance. So Tarantino added some dialogue to this movie, and there's specific scenes where you can really see it. And he did some doctoring. I want to say I know it's not a tea time, they're having dinner. The scene where they're up having cigars, he might have even had some say so in that interview scene, John, because some of that dialogue just sounds very crass, sort of like he would have came up with some of that shit. But yeah, so Quentin Tarantino did a bunch of random scenes in this movie and added dialogue. He did not direct any of it, nothing like that.
But you can see the connection based off of just previously working with Tony Scott on True Romance as the writer. Like, it kind of makes sense. and hopefully Tony Scott, knowing, you know, that he had just come off of working on his best film, that he should go back to that well to some degree. And
I think that was the case. They liked each other quite a bit because Tarantino has said specifically, Tony Scott made my script better, and he's never said that before about any director. So, but yeah.
Well, and it was a situation that he had been called back into again and again, and he had to turn him down. Like Tony Scott and Quentin were friends, and anytime Tony Scott was doing a movie, it's like, hey, buddy. Actually, he has a British accent. That was a terrible Tony Scott impression. But it's, but yeah.
Hey, buddy, it's me. It's Tony Scott.
That's good. That's better.
That's the worst.
So Quentin Tarantino would have to step away and just be like, no, this is getting in the way of my writing process.
Anyway, yeah, look, you know what? While we're talking about some of the acting, now that we've talked about, you know, that's really all I have to say about the script is that it's brilliant. But yeah, Tarantino went in there and did some shit to it. And it shows, like Bob X said, like it stands. Well, I think all of us kind of agree. It's like, huh? Like, where did that fucking come from?
I think it comes from specifically when he's interacting with the junior officers or the junior crew.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
And I think it makes sense in terms of him endearing as opposed, and in direct contrast to when Captain Tenenbaum says, when he's like, if anybody wants to get the hell off of this boat because they're feeling sad, do it now. And it's like, because that was the difference in command style between the captain and the XO, and the XO was endearing himself. And so while it may have stood out, I think that the most contrived part about that is that Fabrizio and, you know, the guy from Coach, the TV show with Craig T.
That's where he's from. That's right.
No, that's not who it is. It's not who it is. It's a different guy.
From Major League 2 and Starship Troopers.
Oh
yeah, he's the guy who gets the headshot off in Starship Troopers.
Oh, is that who that is? Okay, I know I've seen him.
Yeah. So, but the fact that they got into that much of a fist fight over Silver Surfer artists, that's the part where I'm like, what?
Dude, trust me, tensions run so high when you're out to sea.
Oh, so that's a thing.
Oh my God, people get in fights over fucking anything.
So if I were a Kirk guy and you were a Picard guy, we're gonna fucking fight because somebody thought that Cisco was better.
I wouldn't, but people did fight over silly stuff. Yeah, all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Then the part that I found, no women around. It's fight or fuck, guys.
No women, and like when you're sitting in that galley, like eating, it's like prison. Like it's segregated. It's like tense. You know, it's very segregated, which is weird. You know.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I could see that happening, especially in a submarine, because you take my situation, an aircraft carrier, and you crunch it down to this big, and that's a submarine. You know, like there's way less people in a way smaller space. You know, so.
Well, and here's just a round the horn question, very quick, yes or no. Would you be able to do 65 days submerged in a submarine, Joanne?
No.
Couldn't do 24 hours.
Bobak?
Do I have an Xbox?
No, you're going to be in a life or death situation for 65 days.
No, probably not. No, I can't stand guys now.
John, no, that's a no.
No.
And Ben?
I could when I was younger. I can't now. I have too much anxiety. I would need a lot of pills, but I could do it if I had the right amount of prescriptions. But you know,
like I'd love to tour a submarine, but I think even then I would be anxious.
Yeah.
Knowing like once they close that hatch, I'm gonna be like Marge on a 747 and let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out.
And you know, and these are the newer modern nuclear class submarines. Like when I went to Honolulu, you know, we checked out some of the old diesel World War II submarines, and those things, like literally, it's just this much space to walk in the middle.
No, you crawl everywhere you go
on the sides, and there's one level to it, and that's it.
Yeah, I've been on all those too. Yeah, well, U571 does a great job, and we'll talk about that when John brings up some of the genre stuff. But that movie really fucking is claustrophobic because you have to crawl pretty much around everywhere you go. The original submarines were fucking made of wood. and they had like a steel casing, but and they were made for like 3 to 4 people.
And they had screen doors on them.
Yeah.
No, they were called turtles. They were called turtles, and they were just submersives. Like they were really small, really slow, not tactile at all, just like or tactical at all. But
Well, the very first submarine that the Confederates put up against the Union to break the blockade.
Yeah, that.
It was
Bismarck.
literally a hand cranked propeller.
Yes,
and there was no more oxygen. It was the only oxygen was the oxygen in this. It was like a 9-foot cylinder tube. You had like 6 guys in there. They basically went up to a ship, attached a bomb, and then they all suffocated and they stopped cranking the thing, and it just sunk and it blew up. And then they salvaged the fucking thing. The inventor was on the first one. He died. They salvaged it, put another crew on that. They fucking died. And they didn't pull it up until like 5-10 years ago or whatever. They just pulled it up out of the water. But that's the history of the submarine. And then every Navy on Earth saw this and said, I got to get me one of those. Like literally, that was the origin of the submarine. It's incredible.
Boback, when they pulled it up, did they find one guy in there playing Xbox, being like, "Finally, you guys open this fucking thing"?
My great grandfather, thank you, sir.
Another guy watching porn by himself.
Yeah, that's right.
Leave me alone.
Lemon Pie. I don't think anybody deleted anything. But rewrite it if you did, man. I would never delete anything. I'm not even paying enough attention to the chat to delete anything. But yeah, Bobak, you're absolutely right. Those it's cool to watch some of the older sub movies too. I mean, some of the older sub movies were Hollywood made, but I lost the point I was trying to make. Oh yeah. Then when you get to like World War II, yeah. Interesting shit, man. It's interesting the evolution of the submarine, and they're still kind of slow and sluggish when you try to put an action scene together. And I think Tony Scott, we can debate whether there's submarine action scenes better, but I think the couple that we get in Crimson Tide are pretty fucking great. They're I mean, like with everything in this movie, they're tense, because when you have this thing going and then fire and the missiles all it's like you have to really know how to shoot that to make it like.
Yeah, he uses sound design and the editing between the radar control room and the comm center, and like all the cutting back and forth between all that to build that tension. And I think
that's sweat.
And the music.
Well, I can't remember if because this movie does get compared to Hunt for Red October a lot, because they kind of came out within a few years of each other. They have similar kind of style submarines that are utilized throughout the movies. And I can't remember, does that one have the countermeasures the way this one does?
Hunt for Red October?
Yeah. Do they use similar countermeasures?
I'm pretty sure they do, because they all had those. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I didn't get to rewatch
that movie in like over 20 years, so I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But I know subs.
But that's like a cool feature that I don't think we've had in the World War II style submarine movies, which there are so many great ones, but you don't get that. You don't get the countermeasures, which is which again, like I was gonna bring up when I don't know our flow of our conversation, but I was gonna bring up how I think when we talk about Tony Scott, of how he does another movie similar to Top Gun where he makes the military look so freaking awe-inspiring and awesome, and makes like he's the best recruiter the military has ever had. In my
Tony Scott and Rob Reiner are the two people that made me join the military.
Oh.
The Navy specifically. Top Gun, Crimson Tide, and A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. Okay.
Well, one of the angles. So I got 2 angles on this movie. One is the Freudian, angle that I'd love to get into, but the other part is the military propaganda angle, where there are no bad guys. Everyone is an honorable, good guy who's trying to follow orders, and the orders are garbled. And, at the end of the day, they're on the same team, like there's a whole dichotomy there. But when it comes down to it, it's like glorifying the Navy and the submariner the same way that Top Gun was just glorifying the fighter pilot and, the aircraft carrier crew and all that. And I love it, but at the same time, it's just a little like there's a couple of parts to it that are just hilarious to me. One of them is like, okay, it's all about the chain of command, and do we have all the information and the plan? Are we going to go with it? And the built-in fail-safe and the redundancy of like 2 commanding officers agreeing and multiple subs being out there. So if one sub can't fire, the other ones can. All this procedure and stuff, you know. Why? Because the equipment is fucking, it's a piece of shit sub, dude. What is the conflict about? Let's figure out what the garbled transmission said, because it got cut off because we're below a certain depth because we're trying to evade this enemy rogue sub, right? So we can't go up. We have a garbled transmission. We're going to go with the last orders we had, or do we want to find out if there's new orders that are going to supersede those? Let's send up the communications buoy, which of course breaks for no reason whatsoever. There's no enemy action. There's no reason for the communication buoy to break, aside from the fact that it's an overpriced piece of shit that was probably put out by like the naval equivalent of Boeing or something, where it just failed on deployment. And therefore, the entire world is on the brink of nuclear Armageddon because of some shitty communications equipment that some fucking Navy guy got, you know? And it's just like, oh my God. And even before that, what is the first thing that kills a crew member? What's the first
fire
thing
in
that
the
kills
galley?
For no reason.
No, it wasn't the fire in the galley. It was 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, you've got the commanding officers debating von Clausewitz. War is the extension of diplomacy or whatever, you know, and like the von Clausewitz and the Prussians, they literally wrote the manuals. They created the military academy, right? They created the military science, and they're talking von Clausewitz versus, well, yeah, but they didn't have nuclear weapons, and now the real enemy is war itself. And ooh, we're all meta. And meanwhile, they cut below decks, and the fucking squids are dancing around shirtless. One dude's staring at goldfish. He's underwater and he's staring at fish. And then it switches over. There's a random kitchen fire that like kills one of the first responders. And then the communications buoy just breaks for no reason. And it's like, we have the procedures and protocols to deal with all the idiots and all the fucked up equipment, you know, and it's like, we are honorable officer men, you know, like, and we're going to fucking be able to deal with a shit show because of our procedures. I was like, this is not reassuring. And the other part that was like, at the end of it, they're like, oh, but don't worry. Starting January 1996, the tactical sub-commanders cannot launch the nukes anymore. Only the president can.
Right.
And I'm like, great. Fucking great, dude. I would rather have a military professional, like mid-grade guy, be in charge of that than this fucking yahoo, you know, like, Jesus Christ, dude. I am not at all like, it's a military propaganda film, but when you look at the details, I'm not reassured, you know, like,
well,
like,
there's this movie. I feel it's quite neutral. It gives you a lot of cause and effect. Like, there's a reason that there's a good explanation as to why the communication equipment gets damaged. And it shows how hard, like the seamen and the airmen, the E1s and the E2s have to fucking work. And they're carrying the biggest burden out of everybody. Absolutely. You know, the kids, the guy's like, yeah, we're trying to fix it. We need more warp speed. Oh, I'm going to kill my girlfriend, you know, like allegedly. Like, those guys are fucking losing their minds down there when they cut back to them. And I love how much they cut back to them and showing them working on that stuff too. So
well, he just hangs up on him. He doesn't have time for him.
That's I love that he hangs it. He's just like, I don't know, sir. Well, how much time do you need? And he just hangs out. He's like, dude, get the fuck off my ear, man.
Well, and Bobak, it's, well, first things first, Represent This is here.
Yeah, man. What's up, buddy? Thanks for being here, sir. Love you.
Cheers. But Bobak, it's funny that you say that this is military propaganda, because the United States Navy, they were not happy with this film at all. And Tony Scott kind of figured that he was going to get the same blank check that he got for Top Gun. And when he was like, and we have a Navy movie, and they were like, yeah, not this one.
No, Navy thought this was, they felt it was it made him look very incompetent. Yeah, for sure.
So if it is propaganda,
it is it is in like a tech porn way, like, hey, look at how cool this thing is. And
I suppose it's propaganda in the same way that watching the West Wing. Babak, I just want to make this point. I think that this is military propaganda in the same way that watching the West Wing makes you believe in democracy. Like, this is just an idealized version of what would happen with the checks and the balances, and it is made to be sort of ambiguous because it happens whenever you have like two big actors and neither one can be the bad guy. One can be the antagonist some of the time and the other one can be like, it's the same thing as when you had, what was that IRA movie with Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt, and they were both, it was like Harrison Ford's the good guy, no, Brad Pitt's the good guy, and they wouldn't decide on it one way or another just because they didn't want to alienate half the audience who had shown up for either Harrison Ford or Brad Pitt. And it was like, so it's just bland. Okay, it's just bland. This actually gets that antagonism and does make it dramatically relevant. And I think that there is more, like, a lot of the stuff that I find that I know about working in a submarine comes from two things. The first one being the Hunt for Red October. The second one being watching Star Trek. Now, this movie, I do not think lives up to the heights of Hunt for Red October. However, this one talks about Star Trek. So, you know, it depends on
the scene that John and I were talking about, the interview scene.
Yeah.
That establishes you do kind of have a narrative protagonist and antagonist. It just depends on which one that you agree with as the movie goes on. And they push harder for Gene Hackman to be the antagonist because he's got these cronies and they're all given these evil eyes and they're all just sort of like this clique, you know, like, so the movie is definitely pushing you that towards, like, you know, Denzel is the guy in the right. But you don't know, though. That's right. What's so great about the movie is at the end, it could have been the other way around. You kind of think it's not going to, but you just don't know until it happens, you know?
That's true.
And that is when you get that great emergency action message. Recommend alert one, which I say so many times in the movie, but I love it.
Now,
I've made a decision. I'm captain of this boat. That's
Yeah.
Great moment. You know, Ramsey, he's really the only one that ever loses his cool amongst him and Hunter, and he's the only one that ever does anything that's actually bad, but he pulls himself back from it. And you know, when he puts the gun, he's like, I can't kill you because you have the codes. I'm gonna kill this random dude because, like, I assume you care about him, maybe, you know? And then he like checks himself, and that random dude.
Well, no, he doesn't check himself. Viggo Mortensen in a great scene is like, sir, like he's telling him, like, what the fuck are you doing? You know?
Yeah. And you know, honestly, it's a movie about loyalty. And it's the whole thing is, where does your loyalty lie? And these are all, at the end of it, they are loyal people. And like, even the guy with the gun to his head, he's like, it's my senior officer. I'm just going to play it out and see what happens. You know, like, I'm not going to break the chain of command. I'm not going to, you know, be disloyal to my, you know, command structure and all that. And everybody is just trying to prove how loyal they are. And it's just a conflict because there's a misunderstanding, you know? So at the end of the day, they're all like good guys, you know, and
they think is right. Yeah.
But also,
Yeah,
Bobak, that guy with the gun to
recognizes
his head, that guy had nowhere to go. Like,
yeah.
He's in a
What's he gonna do?
submarine. He's in a very tight, tiny room in a submarine with at least 3 guys blocking the door with shotguns that are on the side of the guy with a gun to his head. He really didn't have anything to do.
He had nowhere to go. Who defused that situation? Ramsey himself defused the situation because he knew that he had overstepped.
Well, eventually Weps has to open the locker and
no, that's the thing. Weps is the one that screams "sir" and is kind of like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? In one word, you know? Yeah,
I
yeah.
will do what you say if it spares that man's life.
But man, the look he gives him is like, dude, you lost your fucking mind. And I'll push back a little bit on that. I don't even think the script thinks they're all good guys. I think, especially the way Gene Hackman plays Ramsey, I think he is more drawn by ego. Like, fuck this punk, fuck this new XO Ricky. Like, he is like taking control and like questioning everything I say. Yeah, I think I'm right, and I want to shoot before they shoot. But there's so much of that driving him, which is like, fuck this guy, a ton of it. That's why he brings up all the racial stuff with the horses and socks him in the face. He's hurt by all of it. He's hurt that his boat has been taken from him. Like, there's so much of that personal conflict with him. That's not just about, hey, we have to do what's right. Otherwise he wouldn't have done all that stuff. He wouldn't have started.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting you bring up all that racial stuff, because I remember specifically watching an interview with Denzel Washington talking about it and asking, typical 90s Entertainment Tonight, just like, how did you feel when you were talking about such racially charged dialogue? And Denzel, from the interview, I don't have clips, so, at me, I don't care. But he said that was all written before anyone was cast. Like, the amount of people who were up for this role, it was like Brad Pitt and Al Pacino. It was going like at a certain point, Warren Beatty was attached to be the captain. Like, it went through a lot of casting decisions, and it wasn't until late in the game that Denzel was there. And all the stuff with the horses, they were born white or they were born black, they turn white. Like, all of that was apparently part of the script when Denzel showed up. They didn't write that for him. It was a matter of contrasting the differences between these two generations. And so and again, this is a long ago interview. He was just like, no, this is about the conflict between the two men. And that happened to be their point of contention.
Yeah. They're always trying to show, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm the alpha, you're the beta. And that's all it is.
That's also a basic rank structure, isn't it?
A common knowledge in the Navy, though, is XOs don't usually get along with COs, and they normally don't actually interact unless they're addressing the rest of the ship. Because one of them is there to literally challenge everything the other one has to say. That's his job. It's a second opinion.
Is that seriously the purpose of the XO?
No, XO has a lot more to do, but they do have the movie is right where you can't really do anything until the XO also signs off on it. That is true. Yeah, at least it is on an aircraft carrier. And
I don't know anything about it. Like, all I know are pirate films and Top Gun. I assumed it was like I'm the captain and I am the.
Those are more realistic.
But you got like the captain, and then you've got like the first mate, and the captain is thinking and plotting and just tells the first mate to go and like run the ship. I assumed it was kind of one of those things, but there are actually two people that are trying to make decisions. And they have to agree on
I would think the way it feels in the dynamic of this film, chief of the boat is kind of a first mate, and an XO is a position that does not exist in the pirate world because they don't have balances.
The chief officer is the highest ranking enlisted man who's not an officer. So the chief of the boat speaks for all of the enlisted men, which are the people that run the boat pretty much or run the submarine.
Kind of like the master sergeant.
Yeah, the officers are there for admin and to give the orders and for the heady stuff and making the decisions. The operations, everything that happens is enlisted men, and that's what chief of the boat is the one that's like, okay, here's how we drive this thing. That's why he's like dive, and he controls all those people. So he does have a say so for sure, but I thought
it was a nice blocking, and maybe this is true to life, but I thought it was great that Cobb, whenever the helm was doing stuff, he was right by the helm and he had a hand on the shoulder of the helmsman.
Yeah.
I liked that reassurance. And again, it was just little moments like that that sort of showed the camaraderie.
I love Cobb. I love Cobb in this movie. He's a great character.
He's great. I love him I wish he didn't die in Basic Instinct. Spoilers for Basic Instinct.
Spoilers.
Ben, I have a question for you since you were kind of talking about, you know, the realities of the military and whatnot. So 2 questions came up, nothing big, but submarine questions, which maybe you're not familiar with, but they're constantly saying, and not just in this movie, in other movies, rig for impact, right? And I get that. Okay, rig the ship for impact. I get that must mean things that are not secured down need to be secured down.
Yes.
You only have moments like, you know, who knows, seconds from now, all shit may hit the fan, but we're calling it out. Do what you can to make the ship safer in this moment. Rig things down, lock them down, strap them down, whatever is loose in this moment.
It's like there's like
but in this movie, nobody did anything. They multiple times they said rig for impact, and then it's like people just staring. Like,
well, it's a Hollywood movie.
Yeah. No one scatters and puts something away or straps something.
Yeah,
up.
Well, that's the thing. Everything is attached by ropes. You know, ropes or whatever they use. You know, my television set in my photo lab was completely wrapped with rope in case, for us, not so much like we get hit by something, but just the waves of the ocean, you know? Yeah, no, that stuff is real, but yeah, in the movie, they weren't doing anything. I just think because it's a Hollywood production.
And I imagine in other
do we want to show really somebody putting in
they also do nothing in that when they say rig for impact.
I always thought when they said rig for impact, it was like it was the equivalent narratively of hold on to something. It was just a better way.
Prepare for impact, but also
that's brace.
Because they say rig the ship for impact. The dialogue is rig the ship.
Yeah, brace for impact is different. We ran obviously I never, you know, my aircraft carrier never got attacked, but we ran these drills every week, and there's battle stations, there's brace for impact drill. Battle stations is where you have to immediately like get into like war mode. So you have to tuck your uniform into your boots. You have to make it so there's nothing that can, you know, because you have to run through watertight doors, run up L's, run up ladders, go through doors super fast. You can't have anything that can cling on to something, you know, and get stuck, because then you could kill all the people behind you.
Someone has to put on like danger zone on the public address system.
Oh, it was in our minds, Scotty. It was in our minds for sure. Actually, you know what? That's a good segue, John. Let's talk about, because a lot of the times while I was on an aircraft carrier overseas, this soundtrack of this fucking movie was in my head because it's glorious. It's amazing.
Oh yeah,
Hans
Zimmer, man, it fits the movie so good. You know, there was a lot of those Jerry Bruckheimer production movies with this one and moving forward with The Rock and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They kind of all had a similar tone, but this one really felt Navy, but it also felt action, and it also felt ocean, you know what I mean? Like it just, Hans Zimmer's just a genius. Like a lot of people say he just repeats the same thing over and over again. I could not disagree more with that.
Well, okay,
I was hearing some motifs.
You
didn't hear any blah.
No, but I heard some. I heard
changed
some
up his
rip-offs
style
of like Star Wars and shit.
But the funny thing is, I this weekend I've been looking for just to rewatch a movie I know is terrible, but I haven't seen it in close to 30 years. So I was like, I want to rewatch Broken Arrow, and I could not find it anywhere, not even to pay for. And I randomly there was like a video game store that was selling DVDs for $2, and I found it.
Nice.
So I watched that this past weekend.
It's terrible.
Before watching Crimson Tide. Hans Zimmer does the music for it, and it is fucking terrible. It is similar, but just bad. The movie's also very bad on my rewatch of it. But
I do love Samantha Mathis, though.
Sure, but it's just amazing. Like that's 96. That's 1 year after this, so it's like almost like the next score he did, and it's very similar. It's action oriented. It sounds like a Hans Zimmer score. It just sounds terrible though in that movie. And
I like
it's just
his-
funny
I like
that, like,
his
the next
epic
movie I
and-
pop in is Crimson Tide, and you get great Hans Zimmer doing very similar sound, but it just works so much better.
I like his epic and dramatic stuff more than his action stuff, I think. Yeah.
And
Leave
and
the action
also,
stuff to Henry Jackman. He's great at like action scores and stuff.
if anybody ever asks you if you talk to anybody and you say, "Have you ever seen Con Air?" and they say it's terrible, you should immediately follow that up with, "Have you ever seen Broken Arrow?" And then if they haven't, then just be like, "If you see Broken Arrow, Con Air is so much better."
Broken Arrow sucks.
I'll
Broken
agree
Arrow.
with that.
Broken Arrow
Yeah.
does suck, but I love
Arrow
watching it.
Oh,
I do love watching
John Travolta should have got every Razzie for the next 20 years.
So bad in that.
Well, his karmic punishment was Battlefield Earth.
Well,
He's giving
that
that movie
for
a run for
himself.
its money in terms of performance. It's amazing. It's so bad.
It is. No,
Ben,
we should
I
definitely
had
do a
one
review
more-
of Broken Arrow.
One more question about the reality of subs, if you know. And
Okay.
this is in every sub movie, so I think this is obviously real. Sound is a very important situation that you're dealing with when you're down there, and obviously, I guess how other submarines are able to track and understand where, who else is around and what's going on. So in this movie, we clearly have the moment that was brought up about the shitty equipment and the wench seizing up and causing that sound that alerts the other submarine.
Wench is very different.
Well, it's a wench. It's a wench.
You say
Wench.
winch, I
A
say
wench
wench.
serves you mead at a bar.
You mean
in
when they
Blur.
pull, you mean
Oh, right, that is a winch.
you mean when they
There's
float?
nothing in medieval times.
I was wrenching the
fair.
winch. Okay.
John, do you
Anyway,
mean
you were saying-
you mean when
you
they
were saying-
float?
Wrenching.
You mean when they float the buoy? Is that what you're
When they
talking
float
about?
the buoy. Yes.
Okay.
So the point is, I know that sound down there is important, and they can like triangulate where other things are
Sonar.
based off of if they
Sonar.
hear something.
Yeah. Sonar.
But in this movie, even right after that moment happens, there's so many times where they're just shouting at the top of their lungs, having arguments, and everyone on the boat's being loud. Whereas I feel like in other submarine movies, especially when they have another sub in the area trying to track them down, everyone's whispering. Everyone's trying to be as quiet as possible in every sub movie. But in this one, they're just like shouting and being loud and playing the radio, and just like no one seems to care about the sound issues. Yet the movie does show you that the other sub tracks them with sound. Like,
No, you could be as loud as you want on those fucking things. It wouldn't matter. Like I think U571 makes sense that they whisper because those things were made out of like fucking tinfoil, like that was such an older generation thing where it's like it was such a different
all of those
machine.
movies, Das Boot. I know they're older submarines, but
even-
I thought
No,
they're being very loud.
I don't know if they're being quiet so that the other subs couldn't hear them necessarily, or just because
They
they're
make a
trying
big
to
deal. They make
pay
a big
attention
deal
to
about
what's
it
going
in
on,
Hunt
but-
for Red October.
Yeah, they can hear music playing, and you're not supposed to create any sound issues while you're down there.
I don't know.
According
I
to
mean, I
movies.
know
According to
that,
movies.
that may be true. I've never been submerged in one. I maybe that is. I can't answer that really. I just from movies, I guess you're right. Like a lot of the movies do that, and this one kind of doesn't. At the same time, though, like in this one, the subs are pretty far apart from each other, whereas in some of the other ones, they're like kind of neck and neck with each other. I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that answer at all. But I would think with these subs that we have nowadays, you could fucking do whatever the fuck you want inside and people couldn't hear it. But I don't know. Maybe because like I said, like sonar is one that picks up things, and maybe there's different things. I don't know. Who knows?
I just Googled it.
Sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
And the internet is telling me no. While submarines crews are trained to maintain silence to avoid detection, they don't need to whisper. It's often a psychological response in movies, but in reality, crews communicate at a normal conversational volume.
Are you reading that from Subapedia?
I'm trusting AI overview of Google, but they do need to avoid loud actions that could increase their detectability, like slamming doors or banging on deck plates.
Well, that's good because every door is made of like 5 inches of steel in the thing.
Well, I guess it makes sense because like a watertight door is really loud when you slam it. And with sonar, correct me if I'm wrong, like it creates waves, right? Like you can detect
sound, sound waves.
Yeah, it's sound waves. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that would make sense. But yeah, this is a Tony Scott movie. They didn't give a fuck about being quiet.
Well, and they say like I specifically with the sonar happening with the visual representations and everything, and that was obviously somewhat borrowed from Hunt for Red October. But like they're completely dummy screens. That is not how sonar works. It's actually much more of an auditory situation than it is by watching like the old spinny.
Yeah, but you have to put something on screen for people to see
of course.
in a movie, you know.
But
yeah,
exactly.
Sonar doesn't work the way it does in The Dark Knight either. That made no fucking sense at all.
No, I bought a Nokia because of that.
Let's talk about performances. You guys want to jump into that? Because I got to stand out. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to really quickly represent this. Scotty, a great submarine movie that gives the feel of sub life is Das Boot. Highly recommend that one. I agree, but also I have another name for that movie, and it's When Are These Nazis Gonna Die? So
by the end.
I gotta wait that long? It's like that movie is longer than World War II.
Yeah, especially
it is very good. I have seen it represent this. Thank you.
It's that whole German nihilism thing. Like, how do you lose two world wars when you're favored to win and like not be like so pessimistic? You know, like I had to rewatch the end of Das Boot, and like they finally make it home just to get bombed. You know, like everyone dies. It's all quiet on the Western Front underwater. You know, you watch each character you care about die throughout the whole thing. It's so Game of Thrones. It's great.
Well, and their time. You know, even though they don't want to be Nazis, they are part of the machinery that is killing Allied soldiers.
Literally part of the machinery.
Yeah. So yeah, when they die, it's like, oh, good, it's over. Anyway, but thank you. Yes, it is good.
Let's start with some of the smaller performances because I want to work our way up to Gene Hackman, John.
Is Gregory Hines in this film?
So we can talk about the late, great Gene Hackman. There's a lot of dead people on this roster. Tony Scott, Gandolfini,
Ricky Schroeder's career.
Ricky Schroeder's career. Yeah. Well, speaking of Ricky Schroeder, that's who I'm going to start with because that motherfucker, I don't know what movie he thought he was in. He is fucking shooting 3-pointers, fucking throwing knockout punches with the screen time he has in this movie. I mean, he is like shooting for that. Can I be in a movie for 30 seconds and win an Oscar? You know, like he is fucking owning it, but it's almost distracting because he's like so good. And his character's seen in the background because he's an officer. You see, he's like in charge of like the Bilge Bay area, and you see him at that dinner table setting, but he's kind of neutral. He's not really in either faction, and nor does he make it to when that happens. But
he's not highlighted.
Let's just take a quick little peek at Ricky Schroeder here.
You have your orders. Now seal the goddamn bay before we all go down. Please get the fuck out.
My God, little Ricky Schroeder cursing.
He's fucking awesome in this movie, man. Come at me. Like, it's like he just shows up in this scene. You could barely even tell it's him. I mean, that's just one little clip, but he's fucking so. I'm guessing there's a backstory there where the guy he's screaming for is like his best friend in the world. Because he's like, come on.
Well, you know, the guy, yeah, Steve Zahn is the one who's working with.
Yeah, that's where Steve Zahn gets hit.
The wrench. Not the winch or the wench, but the wrench.
No, I know that, but it's just
that you feel that scene. I remember that back in '95 when that fucking thing comes loose and hits him in the face. It was just like,
that was terrible.
I've seen it before, and I was just like, oh man, you got beans.
Well, and that scene also gives you that extra piece of depth to Hunter, where he's like, yeah, we don't fucking save him. We're all gonna fucking die if you do. You know?
He's questioned earlier whether he could make a decision like that, and then we see him go through with it,
and he does.
And now he Yeah, he's not the one closing the door, but yeah, he has to say.
But he gave the order. He was like,
he
I
had to give
ordered
the
you.
order. Yeah.
Yeah.
But goddamn, dude, little Ricky Schroeder in that scene
From Silver Spoons,
just-
little Ricky Schroeder from Silver
Yeah,
Spoons.
Silver Spoons, and
Silver
then fucking
Spoons.
NYPD
Yeah,
Blue
that
years
train
and years
set in
later.
the living room. Oh my god, I always wanted to be spoiled with a train set in the living room.
But goddamn, did he
And a race car
sell?
bed.
Yeah.
Did he fucking sell the emotion and like the danger of that scene? Like it's so well shot too. How the water is coming up, and like you said, Steve's on like trying to crank the thing or whatever. Dude, that scene's great. I wanted to start with Ricky Schroeder because that scene stands out so much. So anyway, yeah, and Fabrizio is really good as well, talking about the Silver Surfer.
He's all right.
He's always the same guy in every movie. Like he's in The Rock a year later, and he's just like,
oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
One little moment. It's not even like with an actor that we're going to talk about in terms of knowing who it was, but I really like the moment. When the first responder guy or whatever, the chef guy is dying or whatever, they're trying to resuscitate him, and the captain's finally come down in the hall or whatever to see the situation, sees that he couldn't be saved or whatever. And the way the medic handles that moment, he's all shaken up and kind of in shock. And he does try to reassure him. Like that's a moment where he kind of connects with his crew on a personal level, but clearly differently than the way that Denzel connects with the crew. But I really like that moment with the medic, the way he's shaken up, not just to kind of throw away, oh, this guy died and we don't need to like reference it in any way. Like it really did affect
him anymore.
And you could kind of believe that the guy looks young or whatever. It's like, that's probably, he's been a medic, he's been in these situations, but he hasn't necessarily lost somebody yet. Like it kind of felt like that was the first guy he lost.
And it shows how random it can happen. Like,
Right.
And then what does Ramsey do? Ramsey puts on a drill right then and there, which I never saw something like that happen. That seems a little extreme, but who knows?
So that takes us back to the two ideologies or whatever that these guys kind of have, or that we're kind of classifying. One is the old school and the battle hardened, and the other one who's like, the book smart and thinking it through and analytical. And they both have a point in that moment, but Gene Hackman's point of like war does not happen when everything is hunky dory, and so we have to test ourselves in these moments.
That's
and that
the
seemed like
perfect
a
time
perfect
to
moment
drill.
to test.
And it kind of, especially if a fire really broke. I mean, we had huge fires on the Constellation on my aircraft carrier, bad ones where we were fucking freaking out.
Wow.
I had a couple of friends of mine that I still know today that were on, the volunteer fire thing. So they rotate people in and out. Those people will come out of the fire. The reddest you've ever seen a human, like just like John's background. They look like that. And they're they must have lost 5 pounds in 2 minutes. They're so freaked out. And then right after that fire's put out, they'll put on a drill. But when someone, like if somebody died, that never happened. So I don't know. But yeah, Bobak's right. Like that is really, it's a good time to keep people sharp, which is what Ramsey was always trying to do,
And he has that. He has a point there, but
he just shouldn't have said it's just 300 pounds that killed him.
But honestly, one of my favorite moments of acting, if we're talking performance and stuff in the movie, is the moment when Denzel comes up to let him, like he finally gets back up to the bridge after dealing with the fire. And they're in the middle of the drill still, and he just slightly tries to say, "The fire might build up again.
Galley might spark back up."
And just again back to like the subtle looks in those moments. So after he turns his head back, and Gene Hackman just gives him this look over his shoulder of like, "You are questioning me. You don't listen to me." Like that. That's just one of my favorite moments of the whole movie. Just that little subtle acting right there in that moment.
All those little moments build up to why, he wasn't just thinking he was right. He was thinking, fuck Hunter, fuck this guy.
Well, he lets his ego take over. And that's one thing I kind of don't like, but it clearly plays into obviously his power trip and his ego that plays into why the story plays out the way that it does. But I don't like that he takes him aside and says, hey, we can't disagree in front of the crew. If you don't have a moment where you can actually pull me aside and talk about it, you hold your tongue or whatever. But then the next time that it kind of happens, not even in front of the crew, where he tells them about the morale of the crew, and he gives, and I love that it's not a subtle look, because he actually wants Denzel.
I was told you're a bunch of pansy asses who are pissing your
even
pants.
before that, the look that he gives him when he's like, "You've really got the pulse of the crew," and he's got this grin on his face, and it like melts away into this anger.
Yep.
Or just this like, fuck you. And that's when he goes for the mic. But that's what I don't like, is he says, hey, let's not do this in front of the crew. That's kind of the rule. That's the precedent I want to set here. And then immediately in the next time that he can, he goes in front of the crew when he doesn't need to, and shows them up and says, we're disagreeing. Like,
he's been in a position of power for so
dominance. It's not
he's been in a position of power for so long. They tell you at the beginning how many missions this guy's done. So he's been in a position of power for so long, Ramsey. So even when he, he's just like, Hunter here says that you guys might be, what's the word you used? On edge. I say, suck it up. And then he's like, very inspiring, sir. That look, John, that he gives him, where he's just like, I just told you to go fuck yourself. Basically, that's the look he gives him, and then he walks off with his dog, and his dog takes a shit.
Well, and that is the point where he takes that moment while talking to the crew to over radio clarify what Hunter has said, so that they all know that Hunter is standing there listening to him basically berate him in front of the crew.
Yes, yeah. It's come to my attention from Mr. Hunter here that you may be a little on it. Yeah. It's fucking great. And he's belittling the shit out of him in that scene. Yeah.
Well, this is a tale of one generation passing the baton to the next, of like knowing your limits and being able to say, okay, I've played my role, and now it's time for me to
or
exit
shoving the
stage.
baton up the next generation's ass. Yeah.
But it's coming to terms with that, and so there's this struggle. But at the end of it, Ramsey, he does the honorable thing. He falls on his sword, and the whole command structure is like this good old boys club. But it's okay. You're in the good old boys club, because we're not going to listen at the court martial or whatever it is at the end. We're not going to listen to your side of it, because your CEO already said you were right about everything. Do you accept our authority? Yes, I accept your authority that I was right about everything.
Well,
it's
I told
right there.
And by the way, that's a genius Jason Robards performance in that one scene he has at the end. So great. Jason Robards has been playing Navy guys he'd played a ton of Navy guys in his career. Seems like Scotty knows, but
well, I want to say, I'm just going to list off a bunch of Navy movies, but like he had to have been in like Midway. He had to have been
guaranteed. Yeah.
Maybe not guaranteed. I'm just listing off all the things that I think that he
would
be.
Toro, which is a great movie.
Toro is fucking great. I think he was.
That's where he is like, well, Mr. Hunter, you may have been proven right, but you were both right, and you were both very wrong. Like, that's great. I mean, that's a movie thing. Like, that hearing wouldn't go down with those kind of personal words, but it makes sense for the movie completely. I mean, I don't know about the reconciliation with the joke at the end between the two outside the Capitol or whatever, but I do like the hearing with Jason Robards quite a bit. I almost think it should have just ended with them walking out and not talking to each other. But I guess you have to have the, hey, you're right about those Lippin's stallions. Oh,
exactly. Yeah. But that was the closure, because that is the Ramsey
closure, but
character arc of him coming to terms with himself, saying, it is my turn to retire. I was wrong.
Right. But he says wrong. That in the hearing is where he says, where Jason Robards says, Captain Ramsey has recommended that Hunter be given his own boat.
Yeah,
that's all you really needed. That says it all right there. Like he knows this guy's the real deal. I just was kind of like, that little banter at the end.
Storyteller, you want to wrap that one thread,
Dude, this movie's a 10 for me. I'm just saying that little banter at the end kind of didn't need to be there.
It could have been better. It could have been better. I think that there would have been some sort of, I think that there could have been a better reconciliation. But again, like I said before, this is one of those movies where you had two actors who were going to be antagonists, and neither one was going to be a bad guy. So much so that at the end of it, the Navy says, you were both right and you were both wrong. We will think about this decision until forever and a day.
That's
on
the
your
end.
way.
Like John said, they've been speaking a different language to each other the whole movie, the way they're talking, but the way they're actually feeling. And a great ending would have been they don't talk to each other at the end. It's all conveyed through the Jason Robards Admiral character. And then they just walk in different. I mean, I get it. It wanted to be a little bit happier. Like, hey, are you going to go to my granddaughter's birthday? Hey, let's go have a barbecue together. You know, all that war stuff. Fuck all that. Like, we're good. We're good. Let's go. Let's go see a movie. You know.
Yeah,
and then he gets to walk. He gets to walk his oh so gay little dog away, and it's just like, shut up, Eddie. What is he turning into Niles now? Jesus.
Well, he was heading into doing the Birdcage, so maybe that's where he was heading.
Oh,
he's heading to the set of the Birdcage.
Was that the next movie that Hackman made?
It was the next year.
I'm happy that Gene Hackman got to do another really great Tony Scott movie and a really fantastic role with Enemy of the State. Scotty obviously doesn't like it. I love that movie.
Mileage may vary.
I'm with you, Scotty.
He's nowhere near as good in that as he is in this. We'll all agree on that.
Jason Lee is the standout performance in.
You know, the crazy thing about Gene Hackman's career is I don't think he never got an Oscar, did he?
Oh, yes, he got 2 Oscars.
Oh,
We'll talk about Gene Hackman's career when we get there.
Yeah,
we're almost there. What do you guys? I'm sorry, I blabbed so long about Ricky Schroeder.
Fucking Schroeder Stan.
My bad.
I mean, I have some stuff I wanted to talk about, kind of the filmmaking or Tony Scott to some degree.
Oh yeah, we'll get into Tony Scott for sure.
Real quick, my little Freudian thing. Hackman is not the ego. He is the id. The id is the primal instinct.
Right.
Just fight or flight. He is the id. The ego is thinking about other people and what's the reaction. And the super ego is Hunter's character, which is trying to put together what do I want with what do people expect of me. And then I'm going to make my decision. So, you know, Hunter is like the guy who was like, let's balance our impulses with our ration and then come up with a plan. And Hackman is pure id. It's just like straight up like, you know, it's fucking great.
Have you ever felt internally superior to somebody because you know that what they're saying, you're sizing them up and you're like, okay, I already know I'm better than this person, or like they're
teach middle school.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But you know that feeling?
Yeah.
You know that
24 times a day.
I was a teacher too, and you feel that immediately in certain instances, you know?
Yeah, with these guys right here, you know, they're great characters, you know, because what it is you have to think about the submarine as the character. The submarine is the character. It is the object that is out there that is performing actions, and all the seamen are doing are trying to decide who's in control of this submarine and when do we get to launch, you know? So the seamen are debating amongst themselves when they get to explode out of this massive fucking powerful submarine. And it's this whole thing of, are you always going to explode every time, or do you choose when to explode because of the consequences?
Can I tell you what the seamen are really doing? They're all sitting there gossiping and spreading rumors. Dude, did you hear the captain fucking punched Hunter in the face? Like, they're all fucking gossiping. That's all we did because we didn't know shit. They don't tell you shit, you know? Like, it's only a few people that know what's going on. So all the seamen that actually do all the work and operations are just sitting there guessing and creating scenarios in their heads.
and that's why when Ramsey was like talking with what do you call it, Bobby, what was Gandolfini's Bobby Doherty or something like that, he was like, listen,
Bobby Doherty,
he was like, don't try to recruit the whole ship, just get the guy with the keys to the nukes and the guy with the weapons, the small arms guy, give them, and we'll start with the top, and everyone will follow, because like no one else gives a fuck. So it's just really this power struggle of like, when do we launch? And it's just this old little psychodrama here. And I just love the Freudian aspect of it. But sometimes a cigar is not a cigar. Sometimes a cigar is a cigar. Sometimes a submarine is a cigar. But it's always phallic. And when do you launch is always the question. So I love the battle between the id, and of course the super ego has to win at the end, because that's really the super rational part of the brain. But that was the whole psychodrama that I kept seeing here, is like, when do we launch? When do we launch?
Speaking of the cigar, I think I like misunderstood the scene. Before they go down, before the ship goes down, and then they're sharing a cigar up there. And I thought Gene Hackman said, like, let's enjoy this, and let's, this is the last time we're going to have like polluted air for a long time. And then they're all smoking down in the sub. So I'm like, what was that for then?
That was funny. But that was like the one moment of like true equality, of equilibrium.
Yeah.
When Hackman was like, you knew to shut the fuck up when I was complimenting the sunset. That's why I like you. To be quiet when it's time to be quiet, That was probably the biggest moment of camaraderie. And Hackman,
and then the very next scene, he decides to not shut the fuck up, and everything changes.
But in that scene, that's when Ramsey was like, "This is my favorite moment. It's the moment before we submerge, the moment before we start the mission. This is like the endless possibility moment, and it was a great. That's one of my highlights of the movie, is that moment when they're watching the sunset.
I'm right there with you. I agree. That's like a wonderful little moment, kind of a highlight. And I don't have to have actually ridden on a submarine or even been on the bow of a boat or something and experienced that feeling. But like, you get it. You get like why that would be kind of just a beautiful moment, and especially a beautiful moment to just shut up and take in. Yeah. And so it just all works out so perfectly, not just because of the moment being what it is, but also like how he plays it,
to go out and do anything.
How he plays it, and it puts him in favor, just for a little bit, just puts his stock up a bit.
That's true.
But I thought it was kind of funny, because you were talking about, I don't think they can really smoke inside of a submarine. And so it's funny when they're enjoying the cigar, and he tells them, don't get used to it. They're more expensive than drugs. So in my head, I'm like, okay, so like, how much is that cigar he's smoking right now? What does he mean by that? And then seconds later, okay, we're going down. He's barely been smoking on it. Like a tiny amount has been smoked, and he throws it.
I'm guessing he bought some expensive Cubans, and he's just comparing it to the cost of a joint.
Well, the funny thing is, though, like, he throws it where I'm like, why would you? Okay, fine. You can't smoke down below, so that's why you throw it. 2 scenes later, he's smoking down below. I'm like, why would you get rid of something you just said is super expensive? When you just go down and relight it? I don't know.
That is a good point. That is
a
very good point about the price of the cigar of the Cubans. However, I just Googled something, and I know it's right because it was on the internet. But it says that the Navy banned smoking on U.S. nuclear submarines in 2010 because the air purification systems can't prevent cancer. So before 2010, you could still smoke on a fucking sub, dude. How fucking crazy is that?
That's amazing.
Cool.
I don't think that's true. I don't
Well, it's because of the screen door.
You couldn't smoke on a fucking aircraft carrier that is wide open in the air. Like, how could you smoke in it? There's no fucking way. I got out of the military in 2004. You couldn't smoke on an aircraft carrier. There's no way.
My
said it's true.
I am a smoker. I just got back. And so, but the thing is that I think that it's very much a stylistic thing. Like, when it comes to cinematography and they want to add atmosphere, it's like, how do you do that? Smoke. Well, we're not fighting yet. And it's like, the captain has a dog. I'm sure he can smoke.
No, dude. Tony
and then
Scott,
everybody else is smoking. Like, Vigo's always, he's like
Scott
Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park. He's always got a butt hanging out of his mouth.
Oh, dude, I love Mr. Arnold in Jurassic Park. He's always he keeps that in his mouth while he's talking, and the ash just stays on there. But
Ben,
Tony Scott was an infamous cigar smoker.
Yeah, you were going to say Tony Scott smokes cigars, and loves to wear his
Huge
red
cigar
hat. So
smoker.
basically, Gene Hackman is
He
just
loves to wear his pink hat. Yeah,
he's
his
just
pink
an
hat. He loves
impersonation
it.
of Tony Scott to some degree. Being in charge of
No,
the ship,
that's, holy shit, that's a good point. Yeah,
Oh, he's 100%.
Except Tony
playing
Scott
a
was
version of Tony
supposedly like
Scott.
the sweetest dude you'd ever meet in your life. You know, like he looked like he ran a mafia, but he was supposedly the nicest guy ever. You know,
but to
but yeah,
Scotty's
he was
point
in
about the atmosphere and the lighting.
Hmm.
I love the cinematography in this movie. It is so beautiful. Bobak had brought it up earlier of how they light different rooms of the boat. I feel like they're creating like a geography for us because it's like it all looks the same. And in a lot of other sub movies, it's just kind of that gray metallic, whatever, dark lighting that you get. But in this one specifically, different rooms have different color lights, and it kind of helps just inform you, okay, we're back to the radar room because it's green. The radio room, you see the scans going across his face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The blue and red lighting that you have, the conflicted lighting in the weapons room. The comm
and the guy's
center
name
is
Weps,
all
which is
white.
short for weapons.
Well,
Was
no,
that-
that is his.
I never even thought
Cobb-
about that. Weps.
Cobb
Yeah.
Cobb, he's referred to, but he actually does have a character name. Same with
Oh,
Weps.
he's got a character name.
It's like Pete. It's Pete something or other. It's his. He's just
Oh,
referred
yeah,
to
okay.
by his.
Oh, that's
by
right.
his
Weps
title.
is his nickname.
It's his nickname.
Because he's
Oh,
a
I didn't. You know
what?
what? I've seen this movie a million times. I did not even put that together.
Well, the only reason
just
I know
looked
that
up.
is
Yeah, it
because
says Weps in
I
quotes.
saw at the end
character.
as a cast member, it had another Mortensen listed. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's who's playing his son in the beginning. It's his real son playing him in the beginning. And the character name of that character's last name is like Innes or something. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
and there's
Weps
one
is the
moment in the
nickname of
movie
the
where they
character.
call him
Yeah.
Innes. But Weps is more of just a shortened weapons nickname.
Exactly. Yeah.
But John,
That's what he's
back-
referred to almost all the time you see him.
But John,
Same as Cobb.
back to blowing the cinematography. You know who shot this movie, right?
Tak
It was-
Fujimoto.
Darius Wolski, who did Dark City, which is one of the most gorgeous looking movies ever. But he's done almost every single Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah, I
It's the
know.
only-
I've heard that name for a
It's
lot
the
of
only
movies.
Tony Scott movie he did, but he does almost every single Ridley
Did he
Scott
do
movie.
Alien?
He did he do the first Alien? Shit, I don't know. Let's see.
That's Ridley Scott.
That might have been Adrian Brittle who did.
No, he didn't start
did-
shooting until the early 80s, but he's done almost every Ridley Scott movie since 87. But
Well, there
gorgeous.
was
And
there
Dark
was
City is just
a couple shots in this when they're trying to crawl through, like going through the crawl spaces and stuff, where you get the lighting was like, boy, I wonder what it would have been like to get Tony Scott's Alien 3 instead of David Fincher's.
Oh.
If you had handed the reins to another Scott, just to see how different it would be.
don't
Slightly
don't depress me with what could have been.
Yeah, it was just in those moments with the shafts of light we were getting in the corridors. I was like, ooh, an Alien 3 feeling.
Yeah, that movie could have been fucking something special. Yeah.
I like Alien.
But
3.
but I
Moving on.
wanted to point out another moment of lighting that I think is just fabulous in this movie. When they are on the dock or whatever at the beginning with the rain. Like, this movie shoots rain better than any movie I've ever seen. It's just
really
so gorgeous.
I was
the
so
various
pissed
shots
off
they
at that
have.
rain.
You mean, John, you mean in
and-
this?
Anything less? You should have joined the Air Force.
But see, even that didn't show like the shafts of rain that are created.
Right.
The different shafts.
You know, I
different
have
angles.
I have that whole clip if you want to see it.
Let's check it out.
You want to put it up while you talk about it? I can do that.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
But
the
I
thing
think
is,
I think
it
when you
is
play
an
a clip, the
obvious
audio
rain
cuts us out.
machine. It is an obvious rain machine. I found it completely unbelievable.
Oh, you're so
it-
full of shit. You're such
No,
a
I
contrarian.
totally. I was like, nice rain machine.
But it's how it's lit. I don't care how it's created. I just care about how.
Yeah,
it's
no,
Yeah, I
I
don't
could
care how it's saying it
see-
either.
I could see off frame. I could see the fucking
Look at that.
There's
shower.
a
That's
lot
such
of
a tone.
machines off frame to create
That
that
is
much
such a
fun.
Tony Scott shot right there. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good shot, but I was really mad at the rain.
So, John, go ahead. Like, we'll play the scene as you. Oh, that's great. Look at that rain machine go.
Weren't angry at rain.
Well, and
when it's,
so
oh,
what-
it's raining.
What I was gonna kind of compare it to was in a. I'm waiting for the shots where you really get the shafts, like in the back there and stuff like that.
Okay, phrasing.
But you know, in a typical Tony Scott movie, you get a lot of this the Louvalier blinds shots.
Yes,
you know, that's a signature of his. So I feel like, well, he knew he couldn't put Louvalier blinds in a submarine. You can't have a screen door though. So he had to find a way to kind of create that effect with the rain to have a shot that still gives him that shafts of light kind of shot.
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
way he shoots that. That's the way he shoots everything. Everything is shooting. His lighting is always like meant to look like natural lighting, not in the sense of the color, but in the sense of where it's coming from. You know?
Yeah.
What kind of an asshole brings a wet dog onto a submarine?
I would think it's funny just for the true Tony Scott fans if he threw in a little bit of Louvalier blinds lighting within the submarine. So you're like, what is why am I getting the typical Tony Scott Louvalier blinds inside of a submarine?
That'd be hilarious. Like Beverly Hills Cop 2. It's just like you just see the sun in a submarine.
This is an absolute stupid question when it comes to military procedure, but are there bugles on boats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywhere there's a flag.
No,
there's a bugle? That makes sense. That makes sense.
No, you bugles are everywhere. They start in boot camp. They go through your school. Like they're on your boats. They're on your subs. Yeah, they're everywhere in the Navy.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
Another
never associated
nice
with
bit of lighting. I mean, it's kind of an obvious one. They just throw in those graded filters or whatever. But as they are setting out to sea, you get the crimson grading effect, filter effect. Just a nice little touch there.
Weren't they launching at 6 in the morning?
So then sunrise they were watching, I guess.
But like they were aimed.
I think they boarded
Have you
around
ever seen
like
the sun come up in the west.
I think they boarded around like 3 a.m. and then they probably launched. Yeah, because then when they're probably out for about an hour.
Which side of the world does the sun rise in the west?
I think they were supposed to be.
Sunrise is in the east.
Well, you know,
that might be a little messed
They're
up.
in the Pacific.
I don't even know.
Going to the east coast of Russia, where Russia, China, and Korea all have a shared border.
I thought there was.
Oh no, they were
Pacific.
The base was the sub came from Seattle, came from Bremerton, because that's where most of the subs are. I'm guessing that's where it was supposed to come from.
Yeah, no, this was in the Pacific. They were heading to Asia.
Yeah, it was Seattle. It was Bremerton, Washington base. Yeah,
Again,
I don't think they ever say it though, which is another good thing about this movie.
Sun.
But who remembers? What's that?
I was going to mention one other thing about kind of cinematography, or just like the way that Tony Scott frames things, even in these tight quarters. Like it's always kept very visually interesting, with people over shoulders and stuff, so you can get those little reactions in their eyes and things like that. But a lot of the conflicts and the power struggles that happen between Denzel and Hackman's always standing on, like, I guess it's the periscope platform or something. He's on that. He's just slightly elevated in the scene, the way it's framed, to give that, to show that power struggle going on.
Well, no, well, even like the helmsman, who's an enlisted man in any boat, the captain's always above them. It's just like Scotty was saying, like the Enterprise. Enterprise is very, very, very similar to a submarine. I think that was kind of the thing, right, Scotty? It's like the motion, the countermeasures, like the time it
did look like a Star Trek episode a couple times when you see the crew
no,
doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Am I right, Scotty? Like the Enterprise was kind of meant to sort of mimic a large submarine, right, in space.
Well, and because of when it was created by the art director Matt Jeffries, when he went to create the Enterprise bridge, he did look at submarine like just layout, setup, just that kind of thing, and probably maybe battleships and aircraft carriers as well, not specifically submarines, but he definitely went with a naval aesthetic. Yeah.
Well, everything in the water is engineered, created to be slow. Like that's, like you have your dinghies and you have your small boys and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's like, how can we be most tactical and maneuverable in the water? And what's the closest thing to moving around in the water? I'm guessing it would be space. I mean, very, very, very different, but not like land,
Well, and I'm glad you brought up Star Trek, and I'm glad you brought up slow battles. But the thing is,
Take the fucking elephant.
yes.
Sorry, Lily.
I love movies where I'm
she's
watching people
smiling
do their
now.
jobs. I love watching dudes do their jobs. People do their jobs. I would have liked more chicks in the movie, but that's just me.
But you kind of like, as a Star Trek guy like yourself, like when you watch Crimson Tide, you're like, okay, here's the communications officers, and here's the weapons officers.
Yeah, I'm absolutely on board with everything going on in terms of the function and duty of the people of the USS Alabama, the crew.
Yeah.
Like, I love seeing a bunch of people doing their jobs. And even in the midst of a possible mutiny or a perceived mutiny, the thing is that everybody's, and again, when Cobb says, fuck you, I'm doing it by the book.
Fuck you, Mr. Hunter, I'm not on your side.
Exactly. This is just, I'm following the rules.
I love Cobb. Yeah.
And so I love the procedure of it all. I enjoy watching it and being like, whose side would I be on? And, again, I've watched this movie with my dad, and my dad is very much on Gene Hackman's side. And I am, again, I'm more of a Star Trek guy, so I'm with Denzel.
I may be lame, but I would always be on the side of the person that did not want to launch nuclear weapons.
Did not want to start World War III
without well, I just wouldn't want to murder. I wouldn't want to murder half the Earth without confirmation.
Yeah.
If we die because we were wrong, okay.
But I don't think Gene Hackman did it because he was wrong.
I
think he did it because he was answering the order, and based on procedure, I got my last order. I'm going to follow it.
Yeah.
Well, and you find out so much
like
more about his character. He's like, he's done. This is it. This is his thing. Yeah, John, sorry.
I was going to say, he's working off of the last information that he has.
Right.
But clearly they were trying to communicate new information. And for him to say, well, because we can't get it and we're in a scenario where we can't go retrieve it, we're going to move forward with the last information. And I don't know. I can't really get on board with that, because the way the movie does play out, obviously in the moments, in the context of this story, these characters don't know the outcome, but knowing the outcome, the reality is within about an hour's time, they solve the situation on the surface, whatever the Russian forces give up very quickly. So the communication from the White House or from the Pentagon or whatever, who's communicating and saying whether we should be launching nuclear missiles, they changed their mind pretty quickly as well and communicated that. So I think the captain needs to give it some time, even though he's following orders, and his orders are like, I don't think there was an official order. There's two lines in the movie. One where he says they have authorized use of nuclear weapons. Does that mean launch, or you are authorized? Then he says, we have orders to launch our missiles. He says that line. So he's calling them orders to launch. But are they specific? Like, is it still just you are authorized to do this, but we have not said push the button yet? I feel like there would be another order that comes in that says push the button. Like, just like, maybe that's not the wording, but it is a more official launch, not authorized to launch kind of thing.
Well, and dude, first things first, if you're a submarine commander, first things first, if you have a possibility of prioritizing communication, reestablishment of communication in a first strike situation, I'm 100% on board with you. Yeah. It is your responsibility to ensure nuclear Armageddon.
Can I tell you guys?
And that's why they're both good guys. They're both just trying to follow orders.
Yes, but can I tell you guys a secret that's
and
real?
They have different
though?
understandings.
Can I tell you something in this movie that's real? There's an opening prologue text that says doesn't it say the most powerful person in the world is the person that runs the submarine? And that is true.
Third most powerful.
When you guys
it says the president of the United States, the president of Russia, which now would probably be the president.
And then the captain of the USS Alabama. Yeah. And that's true.
And then the nuclear subs.
No, so my point is that is 100% true. If you are the captain of a sub, a dinghy, a small boy, a fucking aircraft carrier, whatever, if you lose communications, you are 100% in charge of that decision. That's given to you. That's part of that job. That's part of that job. So that is true in that opening prologue, that text that pops up. And I love that they mentioned that, you know.
And don't quote me on this because I've been drinking for a while, but I think that in the real world, yeah, and I have a baby. But I think in the real world that like what this movie said, since whatever year, we don't let the local commander have that tactical authority. And I don't think the Russians have either since like the Cuban Missile Crisis. You know, like I think it's really been centralized to like 5 people on Earth can call for, you know, like the president of China, president of Russia, like, you know, 5 people can call for nuclear Armageddon. I think all that actual tactical command decision has been pulled back. It depends on administrations. It depends on what's going on in the world. You know, if there's 50, you know, like during my time in the military, I had 1 year of Clinton and the rest of it was George W., who just wanted to do nothing but start wars. You know, like, so, you know, so he was giving a lot of power to people.
That's what the money was for.
Hey guys, remember recommend alert 1?
Con radio receiving emergency action message. Recommend alert 1. Recommend alert 1.
Recommend alert 1.
Shut
Matt Craven.
They say that so many fucking times. Recommend alert 1. Recommend alert 1.
Or 1SQ, which I don't know.
1SQ for strategic missile launch. I love it, and I love how they break the. Oh, dude, it's so great, man.
Today I had to open Post-it notes, and I was like, and I was thinking of that. It's like, oh, this is awesome.
I love that stuff in these movies. I think that's all bullshit, but I love it. Like turn the key at the same time, and you know, like crack the thing. But it's so good for the movie.
It makes it tactile.
It's great
like
for
that
the movie.
crunch that is so satisfying. Like Coca-Cola uses that as a marketing thing. Why do you think they open every bottle or can in a commercial?
Oh,
exactly.
So my
Why do you
question:
think that everybody has to cock a gun in a movie before they shoot it, even if they've
Hey
shot
John,
it like
since we've
78
been going
times?
for a while, do you want to start jumping into? Well, let's talk about Gene Hackman. And
I just have one question.
Hold on, real quick. Okay, go for it.
Okay, what was the whole thing about like the codes that they have to authenticate? There was like,
well, that's what we were just talking about.
They do that
Yeah, but there was like
every
a locker and it had 2 compartments, and one side
One was for drills
codes.
and one was for. So one was for them to use in the drill, so it's not any real orders and real authentication. And
well,
one
you have
was
like
a
3, 4,
scenario
5
happened.
levels of safeguards. So you have people that have
they're all
keys around their necks that are the only ones that have them that can open a locker. But then in the locker, somebody else has to pull something out.
But are there like multiple codes that the White House and every sub have in a locker? And they're like, we're going to just use this one code that is a placard in your locker. So you know that this is an actual order. And like, we're never going to use this code again because we already used it once. Like,
dude, I was a third class petty officer. I have no idea. That was way out of my pay grade.
I'm Canadian and I'm saying yes.
Okay, that was my only question.
But John, do you want to?
That brings us to a kind of a point or something I wanted to bring up. So the codes and the extra lockers, and the captain has to go to a separate locker to get like the missile keys that are on a whole nother ring. Like there's all these safeguards and fail safes, right? Show of hands on the panel. Who has seen the movie Failsafe? Failsafe.
Which one?
Yes, I see you, Scotty. Failsafe,
Have I seen that,
1964 Sidney Lumet
No, I haven't.
movie. Henry Fonda playing the president. It's
No.
it's a very
Hang on,
similar
give me a second.
story.
I have it.
Excellent.
I got it.
It's a very similar
Oh,
story to this movie. You should definitely check it out. It deals with a bomber that has the same situation. They lose communication right after they receive orders telling them that they should head into Russia and bomb Russia. And it's a scramble. It's dealt with more from the White House or from like the Situation Room of how they're going to try to get communication back with this bomber and communicating with Russia, letting them know you may need to shoot this down. Like we can't communicate with them, but they're heading towards Moscow to bomb you. And so sorry, my lights went off.
Lily, you see the cat? You see my cat?
So yeah, it's basically the same movie told from a different perspective.
No, but John, who did you say the president was in your version?
Isn't it Henry Fonda?
Okay, I have a different version.
Why? Who's in that
What
one?
version? Do you have one with you have the TV movie version possibly made in
the
1999
live broadcast? Yeah,
with
George Clooney.
Scotty, do you have the one with Henry Winkler?
Is it Richard Dreyfuss?
Yeah.
Yours has Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, no, the 64 Sidney Lumet. It's got Walter Matthau. It's got
I want.
It's got a bunch of people in it. But yeah, tells a very similar story. If most of you haven't seen it, I know Scotty maybe knows how the story ends. I don't want to give it up because it's actually, if you're willing to watch it, it's worth a watch to get all the way to the end and see how
it's brilliant.
1964 handled this nuclear Holocaust situation.
And the funny thing is, not any spoiler, but I think it would be hilarious if you did a double bill of Failsafe and Dr. Strangelove.
Doctor Strange. Well, and Doctor Strangelove is the comedy version of that similar story being told.
If you like Dr. Strangelove, you're gonna like Failsafe in the same way that you're gonna like.
I need to see Failsafe, but I would love to do that with you guys because Dr. Strangelove is one of my favorite Kubrick movies. So I would love to do that. I just need to see Failsafe. I haven't seen it. So.
Yeah.
Well, you're in for a
to be honest with you, I've heard
maybe I need to watch the TV version too. That
we could do a Failsafe. Totes.
Yeah.
So John, do you want to talk about Denzel and Gene before we? Because I know it's getting a little bit late, but I still want
to have anything to say about Denzel. His performance.
I have one thing to say about Denzel, and this is beautiful. I saw this recently. I just recently subscribed to Peter Weller's Instagram, and also I think they brought it up on a Red Letter Media. But there is a clip of Peter Weller talking about Denzel Washington in Training Day. And he is talking about how actors don't know how to drive in movies. And he specifically cites Denzel Washington in Training
Have
Day.
you seen him drive in that movie? That
Yeah,
steering wheel is all fucking over the place.
And he's looking at Ethan Hawke the entire time. And he's like,
oh,
so
dude.
Peter Weller goes ape shit over this, and he's like, you know what? When he's outside of the car, he's fine. But they gave him an Oscar. Did they see the driving scenes?
Dude, watch an old film noir called Kiss Me Deadly, which Tarantino took a lot of inspiration from Pulp Fiction. Dude, the guy is doing this with the steering wheel, but the back projection, the car's going straight.
Yeah. I've seen that in a lot of old movies. It's just like whatever.
Yeah. One of the best
you
ones
need
ever,
to make it seem like you're driving.
Oh my god! It's like, dude, I don't know about you guys, but I'm usually just like this while I'm driving.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe I'll go like this.
If I'm terrified, I pretend I'm Superman.
No, dude, Denzel in that movie when he's turned and he's talking to Hoyt, he's going like this
Oh,
the whole fucking time. I've seen Training Day 8 billion times. He's going like this.
I'm only driving like this.
He didn't win the Oscar for his driving.
Yeah, like go-karts.
I
didn't
did
know
hear
you
that
had to
truck
get wet,
driving
though.
was different, but
Get that medicine up in you, dog. Get that medicine.
So
up
anyway,
in you.
yes, no. Denzel.
Oh yeah,
Washington.
Denzel's great in this movie, but this is not. I mean, he could do this movie in his sleep.
Well, I did give him a Best Hero nomination on my list for this movie. I thought he was deserving of that.
I think, to me, like I haven't seen every Gene Hackman movie. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's so many, but you have The Conversation.
Never seen it, want to see it.
And then you have this, and then obviously
The
you
French
have
Connection, Superman.
the French Connection. But then later in his life, I think to me, from what I've seen, my favorite performance he's ever done was as Royal Tannenbaum.
Of course.
I fucking love it. And I love it that he didn't know what he was doing in that movie and he didn't understand the script and he hated every second he was on screen. And yet people think it's one of his best performances.
Yes. Was he nominated for that?
He did not.
Yeah, he won the Golden Globe, but he didn't win the Oscar. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't nominated for an Oscar for that though.
Oh, that's right. But he did win a Golden Globe, right?
So his Oscar nominations, he won 2. He started his career off. He had a couple small roles in actual feature films, not just TV shows, before 1967. But 1967, he did Bonnie and Clyde and got a supporting Oscar nomination for that film.
Was he the
I didn't
cop
even really
there?
remember him being a part of that movie. I've
He
only
was the
seen it
cop,
once.
right? He was the cop.
No, he's one of the he's the brother.
Oh,
He's,
okay.
Clyde's
It's like
brother,
you forget Gene Wilder was in that.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I mean, I've only seen it once a long time ago. I'm sure I would enjoy it if I revisit
Damn
it.
good movie. Damn good movie.
But so 1967, he gets his first Oscar nomination, puts him on the map. He gets his next Oscar nomination in 1971, supporting actor for a movie called I Never Sang for My Father. Sounds like a drama. I've never heard it.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
Then he got Best Actor nomination and won for The French Connection, 1971.
Yes.
So from 68 to 71, he already had 3 Oscar nominations and won one.
Mm-hmm.
Then his next Oscar nomination came for, moving up the list here, Mississippi Burning in 1998.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
As a Best Actor nomination. And then his second win and one of his most revered performances, Unforgiven, 1992.
Dude, why
Little
did
Bill
I say
Taggart.
he never won? Of course he did. He won for Unforgiven.
He won for Unforgiven and for The French Connection.
And then he repeated that exact same role. He repeated that exact same role in Sam Raimi's Quick and the Dead.
Which was so that was the same year as Crimson Tide, and I nominated that performance as Best Villain. And Crimson Tide, I nominated Denzel as Best Hero, but I did not go with Hackman, not because his performance wasn't great, but I didn't really classify him as like truly villainous villain. But in Quick and the Dead, yes.
Quick and the Dead, he's evil. Yeah, he's straight up
and
evil.
so that was an easy one to nominate him for.
Yeah. I can't believe I forgot about Unforgiven. Of course he's won. Yeah.
So I wanted to point something out, and maybe this isn't really that interesting of a stat, but I remember in my youth and growing up in the 90s and whatnot, Gene Hackman was everywhere. Gene Hackman was in so many freaking movies. I was just like, man, this guy is working in everything, and he was in all kinds of genres. But
I still want to do a video on Loose Cannons.
You just mentioned it. Okay, so Loose Cannons was the example, because I remember like back in the 80s when I saw Top Gun and was like, oh, Tom Cruise is the it guy, right? Well, why did Platoon come out and not have the it guy in it? It had somebody else. That's a movie that was supposed to be for Tom Cruise. That's the way my brain worked. I was like, no, the it guy should be in that movie, not this. Who's this other guy, Charlie Sheen? So when Loose Cannons was being advertised, and I was finally, of age and kind of paying attention to movies and advertisements and filmmakers and actors, it was like, why is Gene Hackman like a guy my dad would watch in boring, stuffy movies in a comedy with Dan Aykroyd? That should be a role for a comedian. I didn't get, my brain was like, why are they putting him in that role?
That was the buddy cop thing
actor
they were doing. Yeah. You
I
got
didn't get
your
how
Jim
versatile
Belushi with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and yeah.
So
I
eventually,
love Red Heat.
Eventually, like I got on board with seeing his performances, and I was growing up, and I was being able to enjoy his more adult work and stuff like that. But he was everywhere. I felt like Gene Hackman's career, his whole career, it was like every year he'd have 5 movies out. It felt like.
Yeah.
So I had to look that up. And maybe you could find a ton of other actors who actually have this, but I actually looked up the numbers on this. Between Bonnie and Clyde, which is really where he took off, and his final film that he worked on in 2004, 67 to 2004, 38 years. 13 times he did more than 3 films a year. Many times he did 5 in 1 year.
Huh.
So I don't know if that seems like really a remarkable stat. Maybe other actors would have that, but I feel like most actors put out 1, maybe 2. Sometimes when they have 2 films a year, you're like, man, what output for that year? 13 times he did at least 3 to 5 movies a year.
I think
and specifically in 95, the year we were just discussing, he had
he did this one.
He did Crimson Tide, stellar performance. He did Quick and the Dead, totally evil, awesome performance. Stellar as well. And he did Get Shorty, completely different, smart, hilarious, comedic.
So funny in Get Shorty too, man. Like his
and
character.
then the following year, he has 3 more movies. He has like The Birdcage, Desperate Measures. I forget what the other one is, The Chamber, I think, or something. But like,
Desperate Measures.
The guy was just nonstop working and doing it in every genre.
What's Desperate Measures? Tell us what Desperate Measures is.
It was the one with like Hugh Grant. It was a medical thriller.
And Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, that was.
It was
right
like,
after the
polycule.
success of 9 months. They were like, Hugh Grant, we should put him in a thriller. And then right afterwards, like, no, we shouldn't.
No, he's more of a romantic lead.
I would love to see
keep
it
him in the as the awkward Brit in romantic movies. Yeah,
I would love to see Extreme Measures just to see what kind of movie that Gene Hackman makes it. Like his performance is going to elevate anything. So,
was one of those years, John, when he did No Way Out? Because I want to say he did.
Dude,
a few
88,
movies.
5 movies. 5
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
So, and that's where like my brain was right around 88, 89, 90 is where I was really wrapping my head around like Hollywood and who's a part of it and who's doing what. And it was just like every year he'd do 5 movies. I was like,
Can you list
working.
Can you list the 88 ones? Do you have it in front of you or
no? I don't, but I can pull it up. Yeah, I've got it right here.
Because I knew No Way Out. I knew I saw him in like more
Split Decisions, which I'm not that familiar with.
I don't know.
Bat 21, which I did.
Oh, that was a good movie with Danny Glover.
Full Moon in Blue Water, not that familiar with. Another Woman, not that familiar with. Yep. And Mississippi Burning. That's all 88. Oh, 87, where No Way Out was No Way Out 87 and Superman 4.
Dude, how did
I was in Superman
do that many fucking movies? Like Bat 21 required him being overseas for the entire shoot. That's a Vietnam War movie.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he was a workhorse.
And look at this. 2001. I remember around that time as well. When 2001 hit, I'm like, dude, he is in every fucking movie. The Mexican, which I don't really remember. He's probably a small role there.
No, it's such a drag.
I don't remember him in that at all. But I don't remember that movie that much.
Heartbreaker, which is actually very, very funny. He's very funny in that movie.
Which
with
one?
Sigourney Weaver and Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah,
he is fucking hilarious in that movie as the guy.
What was that called again?
Constantly.
Heartbreakers.
Heartbreakers.
So
is
2001. You have the Mexican. You have Heartbreakers. You have Heist, which I believe has
Delroy Lindo. No, Delroy Lindo. I think it's him
whoever's in that
Lindo.
Heist.
Yeah.
It's right around the time of like The Score. I get those movies confused.
Yeah.
Then Royal Tenenbaums.
How could you get The Score and The Heist confused?
I don't know.
It makes sense if you've seen them.
I'm
Heidi
kidding.
movies.
It's the name. You know, it's a joke.
Sorry, I can't see you guys. I have the screen up. Royal Tenenbaum and Behind Enemy Lines. 5 movies.
Oh,
in
wow.
Behind Enemy Lines, he was playing the better version of of Captain Ramsey.
Captain.
He's the captain of an aircraft carrier who is totally behind his fellow people and will do anything for him. You know,
his fellow seamen.
Right?
So he's had a long career.
Yes, he has.
He
Or
bowed
yes, he
out
did.
in 2004. His last film, Welcome to Mooseport, he chose
Oh God,
not to spend the last 20 years that he had left just cranking out some crappy movies.
I don't know about you guys, but I wish his last movie was Royal Tenenbaums because it was so
I've never
fucking
seen
good.
Welcome to Mooseport, but I am going to buy it for $3.
Isn't that with like Everybody Loves Raymond?
Oh, yeah. I think it has. Okay,
But,
so funny
I mean-
thing about Welcome to Mooseport, his Gene Hackman's final film, it was filmed in Southern Ontario. So I'm kind of like, oh, I could go on a what is it, like a location expose around Southern Ontario and be like, I found the shooting locations to Welcome to Mooseport. So that's gonna be my first edited video on the YouTube channel. Welcome to Mooseport Travel.
I figured it was a Canadian movie.
I have some notes.
When the name Moose was in it, I kind of knew it was a Canadian film.
But Gene Hackman's career, like I'm sure all of us grew up with him being Lex Luthor in Superman, from when we were kids. So even though he seemed like an actor who was doing very adult roles when I was of that age of like, he's not really an actor I'm interested in. He did have roles that I was already very familiar with from, children's kind of films or whatever. So I knew what he's capable
we're
of.
in our
Like,
40s.
like Hackman. I just was like,
we're all in our 40s, so he's our original Lex Luthor because we're all in our 40s. Even though he didn't do the bald thing except for a couple of scenes because he refused to do it, he was good Lex Luthor.
And there are movies that I can vaguely describe that I know that he's been in because I see the interstitials on Turner Classic Movies. But it's like there was one that he did with Dustin Hoffman. They apparently were good friends and they did a movie together. Something in Scarecrow, I think, maybe. There's a movie where he plays like a child trafficker, and this movie was made in like 1970. And he was like, I don't know. I don't think Sissy Spacek
was cool. Did you guys ever see Uncommon Valor with him?
I remember watching it. I don't really remember that he's in it. I just remember it being a Vietnam War movie that when I finally was able to catch it, I was hoping for something great like a Platoon or whatever. And I was like,
because you must have been surprised because it was about a bunch of Vietnam veterans in the 80s that band together to go save their other,
I thought it was corny. That's what I remember.
That was the thing. It was,
I couldn't take it serious.
It was a bunch of Vietnam veterans in the 80s band together to go back to Vietnam and save like their other POW friends. And it's like, okay, that's kind of
Rambo 2.
Kind of like John Rambo.
But it was before Rambo. Actually, it was after Rambo.
There's the quote of the night. I don't like John Rambo. Don't forget Young Frankenstein as well. I was
he's so Frankenstein. He is so fucking funny in that. I love him as the blind guy. He's so great. He always seemed to have a sense of humor in movies.
Hold on, are we
but
still
then
talking
he was
about
just
Gene Hackman?
like the biggest dickhead in like.
He was the blind guy in Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow. No, but here's my takeaway from Hackman. Supporting actor. One of the greatest supporting actors ever, didn't let the ego get in the way. He's been in everything, and he was just always the bad guy. Like, not always the bad guy, but he was always the bad guy, like not the romantic lead. If you want to be remembered, you are the romantic male lead. or female lead. You know, like that's how you get remembered. But he didn't go that route, and he was one of the hardest. He was a real hack. He put the hack.
I get what you did there. Yeah, I think he was the romantic.
You guys were saying, he was always working, always like producing content. You know, before it was the internet and all that, and he was just like a really good actor. And I don't even know. I don't want to go morbid, but like he and his wife.
Yeah, dude, that was
what
dark.
Was the deal? I don't even know what the deal was. What was the deal?
I don't know if we know really yet. It sounds like
not have medical alert bracelet.
Yeah, which is strange. It sounds like she had a medical emergency and most likely, passed away in a situation where he was left alone with no way to communicate, and however long he lasted, but it wasn't long.
I just feel bad for the dog that died in the bathroom of starvation.
Yeah.
That fucking crushes me, dude. I'm
Wait, was
sorry.
it locked in the
I mean, there's
bathroom?
2 old people that were gonna die soon, and then
Was
there
it
was a
locked
dog.
in there? Why was
Then there was a thirsty dog.
Yeah, I don't know why the dog was locked in the bathroom, but it was.
Or was it with
locked in the bathroom means the door was closed because
but
dogs can't actually use doorknobs.
Was she in? No. Was she in the bathroom, or was the dog just in the bathroom by itself? That's what I'm trying to get at.
All I know is that they fell and they couldn't get up.
Yeah. It's surprising, yeah, that they would.
But that's literally what happened.
Not that it would have saved their lives. I think they'd both still be dead. But how did they not have some kind of like housekeeper
medical alert
or
bracelet?
something that comes by? Well, the
Exactly.
medical alert bracelet, yes, but they didn't have it. They chose not
In-home
to go
servants
that
for
route.
everyone.
Alexa. Hey, Alexa, I'm dying.
Hey, everybody.
Sorry.
Calm
Everybody
down. I told Scotty every time the chat, every time the panel gets out of hand, I'm just gonna play that clip from.
And I would like to make a personal apology to everyone who is listening to this broadcast. If you're playing this on speakers, I am an idiot. I should not have made that exclamation.
I don't think mine heard you. It's downstairs, so.
Well,
let's repeat it for everyone who didn't hear you the first time.
No, I'm not saying it again. No.
I think Gene Hackman, the way I always looked at him as an actor was like, that generation that he was in, like you could be not. I'm not saying he's not good looking, but you could be just sort of average looking, and as long as you were,
my ass looked better.
Well, no. I'm being serious. Like you could,
yeah,
you could pave this path for yourself where like you are a certain. And you guys were talking about, well, he's not a romantic lead. Well, I don't know if that would work because, dude, I'm sure he's a good looking guy. I don't know because I'm a guy and I like girls, but it's like he just didn't have that look of like, oh, I want to see this guy like hook up with the girl at the end and get married.
I want to see him make out with Farrah Fawcett.
Not into the will they, won't they?
No, but you know what I mean, though. Like there were certain actors back.
Yeah, there's so many people in the world. There's so many people on stage. So many people in front of camera. You can't always be the romantic lead. Most people are supporting or extras. You know, and like you have to have good performances across the board. And he's like a testament to the workhorse that making sure that all the background and everything, supporting characters made the Denzel Washingtons of the world look very smart.
Right.
Well, and the thing is, charisma goes a long way. And I think with Gene Hackman, he was a sexy man based on his presence and his charisma. Like he was, and when I say sexy man, it's like, it's the same way that people talk about James Bond as being sexy. Men wanted to be him. And it's like Gene Hackman was one of those guys when he showed up and you could tell he was phoning it in, but you could tell why he was phoning it in. And like when he showed up and when he was enthusiastic about something, like in Crimson Tide. And it's like, yeah, man, like I would put Marco Ramius against Captain Ramsey any day of the week. I would love to see that crossover. Just 2 submarine captains, kind of like Run Silent, Run Deep. Like, I think this is a great I love Gene Hackman, and I really appreciate it because I've written down like fucking 15 Gene Hackman movies that I have to acquire. Actually, I have to write. There's one called Hostage. I think there's one where Tommy Lee Jones is the bad guy, and it's Gene Hackman versus Tommy Lee Jones, which is kind of like King Kong versus Godzilla.
Is that like one of those like The Package or Narrow Margin?
The Package. It is The Package. Oh, let me look.
1989.
Hey, John, do you want to start moving on to submarine genre films? Because
sure. I mean, I didn't really have anything specific there other than just like, we can throw out
Das Boot
that we love. Yeah, Das Boot. Like I'm not
Can
even.
I start us? Can I start us off with what I think is the best submarine movie of all time?
Yellow Submarine, the Beatles.
Down Periscope.
That's not Crimson Tide. I mean, hang on. I'll bring it up right now. All right, baby, let's do this. Where the fuck is it? Come on. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is the trailer for the best submarine movie ever made, starring Luke Perry.
I beg your pardon?
Luke Perry. Auf einer
Oh, I said by Luke Perry. And let me know if you guys can hear it.
abgelegenen Insel im Pazifik ist es
I can hear
einem
it.
Team von Wissenschaftlern gelungen, eine besondere Schlangenrasse zu züchten.
Wir hatten Erfolg, Major. Die Schlange aus dem Labor hat sich mit einer einheimischen
Oh,
Schlange
shit.
gepaart.
Did I get the fucking dub?
Well, you know what? This is the best way to not get
eine Mission
copyright.
bekommen und du wärst perfekt dafür.
Oh, wow.
Fantasy Island.
Und Sie sind wohl Dr. Swanson?
Nein, das bin ich nicht. Ich bin Ihr Assistent, Jake Golden. Sie ist Dr. Swanson.
Doch nach einer Panne entweichen die Schlangen ins Boot.
Right, talk amongst yourselves. I need to
Too
find the
many
fucking
snakes.
So anyway,
on
this
motherfucking plane.
This movie is called Silent Venom, and it takes place on a submarine, and it came out right after Snakes on a Plane, and it's basically Snakes on a Sub. So you have Luke. There's a scene where Luke Perry's like, "What? The sub is infested by snakes. I hate snakes." Like,
Isn't it ironic that Ian Ziering got into the better
There you go.
animal-based bullshit sci-fi horror schlock?
Dude, Tom Barrett.
It's not.
Fucking
Who is that
movie?
guy? Who plays the admiral? He was
Tom Berenger.
That's him. Thank you so much.
So this movie is full of just like stock footage of submarines floating around the water, and there's literally a scene where it looks like people just threw a bunch of snakes on the ground, and the camera just shot it because the snakes just go
Rubber snakes, not real snakes, rubber snakes.
God damn it! I thought I had the actual fucking trailer.
I would love to watch a movie where it said like 7 snakes were harmed in the making of this film.
That's awesome. I love Luke Perry.
Their names were Jody, Matthew,
Slinky,
Zartan,
every year at
Tamox.
this date.
But I don't know. I guess I would say. Well, actually, you know what? Let's check in the chat real quick because there's some thingy. Oh, Jill's here.
Jill's here.
Hey, Jill. I can hear it, but I can't understand it. Yeah, us neither. I didn't mean to get the fucking the version from Huge Kakistan. I didn't know what the fuck that was. Let's see. I had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday through Friday play. Yeah. I love the TV dub. I had it with these Monday through Friday snakes. It's so great.
Monkey
nice to see you,
fighting
Jill.
snakes.
Remind
but I
me
guess-
to check my 23andMe and see if I have any lineage from Huge Kakistan.
But I really like you or K19, the Widowmaker, and John probably knows why I like it.
Oh
It's
no,
Catherine-
that's the most depressing thing I ever fucking
it's
saw in
Catherine
the
Bigelow.
theater ever.
It's got great style. It's got her style to it.
Have
Yes,
you-
I get it.
have you
Liam
ever
Neeson
seen-
and I get it.
Have
Liam
you ever
Neeson
seen a
and Harrison
crew of
Ford.
people
Shut up,
die
Scotty,
of
for a second.
radiation poisoning over the course of 2 hours?
But
do you
do
think
they?
that's a good time?
I thought they're saved. Am I misremembering how that ends? I thought they
Remembering
don't.
they all die of cancer.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
They're most of them are saved, I think, aren't they?
They all made it, but the kids were fucked.
But it's
a lot of rads.
You know, a lot of people hate the accents and stuff like that. I look at it as kind of like one of those movies like 13th Warrior or whatever, where it's like, or even Hunt for Red October did it, where it's like, you know, they're speaking a certain language and then they're not, you know, it's just, but I get it. Harrison Ford's Russian accent was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I thought that
it
movie
had
was
less Scottish in it than Connery's Russian accent.
Well, and also Liam Neeson. Like, anyway, yeah, no, I just found that, I don't know. I found that, I've seen that movie twice, and I found it uncomfortable both times.
Liam Neeson
any
was like,
movie in a
I don't
submarine
know
is
who you
boring.
are.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
don't
I've
know how
only
to
seen
be
Das
there.
Boot once. I'm never going to revisit that.
But what would be, give your, I know there's not a lot to choose from, but top 3 sub movies.
Well, I think there are probably a lot to choose from. There's definitely
Well,
bad
but
ones
I'm just
like
not,
the
they're not
Snake
coming to my
one.
mind right now. But
No, yeah. Well, okay.
Oh,
I'll
Hunt
throw
for
out
Red
a couple
October
here.
is number 1 with a bullet. That's me.
Okay. What about number 2?
The Star Trek episode.
No.
Balance of
Movie.
Terror.
Movie.
Oh, well, then Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. It's kind of a submarine movie when they get into the Mutara Nebula.
All right, never mind.
I'm
yeah,
gonna
fair
throw
enough.
one out there.
Water
that
is not a submarine.
If we were naming our favorites, and I was trying to give you an order, I would be forced. Traditional submarine movies, I guess I would probably say either Das Boot or Hunt for Red October. Hunt for Red October is the better acted and more intriguing story, but Das Boot is an experience. It is a one of a kind experience, and it puts you right there in a submarine, unlike any other movie. And I've seen it on a big screen, so I've seen Hunt for Red October on the big screen as well. So they're both great. But
was there an intermission for Das Boot?
I can't remember if there was. It was like a reissued screening.
Sure.
But,
No, I think it's a fantastic film on a technical level, but the narrative of it is just
yeah, exactly.
Hell of war.
But those are like the traditional answers of submarine movie, either Das Boot or Hunt for Red October, potentially taking the number 1 spot. But I have to be honest with myself, and this movie can be labeled as a submarine movie. It has submarines in it. It has submarine action. It has people who die in submarines.
I'm guessing you're going to say
the main
Undersea?
story doesn't take place in a submarine. It's an underwater oil rig, and that's The Abyss. The Abyss is somewhat a submarine movie. They're dealing with the same. They're dealing with the same situation, the same pressures to solve their scenario and get out alive.
That submarine scene is one of the most frightening things.
The greatest scene in all of cinema.
Like,
the greatest 30 minutes of all.
It gives you so much anxiety. Not just the reconnaissance mission, but like that opening scene of just, you know,
the opening scene,
the lights going out and like, oh fuck, dude. Like, The Abyss is great. That works perfectly because it's so good.
Joanne, can I just speak to you for a second? Because
it works better than Star Trek.
I think people are coloring over the lines a little bit, because I always thought that when we were talking about these military movies, we were talking about the chain of command and vessels of war.
I thought you were talking about Star Trek.
And hang on a second, I'm talking to Joanne.
Oh,
So, like, do you think that The Abyss is an underwater movie that is akin to the military nature of a submarine movie?
Yeah, that's a fine line. I wasn't thinking of that one, but like if you do count that one, that would be up in my favorites. I didn't.
It has the
think
military. It has submarines in it. It has 3 different submarines. 2 of them are completely destroyed.
The mission is not military funded, but the opening of the movie is a military submarine. So
yeah, but that's like saying For Your Eyes Only is a
no. That's like saying Star Trek: The Wrath of
for
Khan is a submarine movie.
A submarine movie does not have
you
to
said
be.
space and the ocean were the same thing like half an hour ago.
Yeah, but I didn't mean that for actual submarine movies, Scotty.
Submarine movies do not have to only be military based. another submarine movie, not military based.
Sequence
20,000
DSV.
Leagues Under the Sea.
I was just
that's
about to
true.
say that. I was just about
That's
to say
exploratory. That's absolutely.
I was gonna say that was the only sub I've ever been in Disneyland.
that. Oh God, that thing was the scariest thing in the world. Like you're only 2 feet underwater, but you feel like you're gonna die.
You thought that ride was scary?
Oh, I was as a kid. I was like, "Get me the fuck out of this thing."
Oh, I never felt that way.
How about a submarine moving around inside of blood?
Oh, what Fantastic Voyage are we going to?
Yeah,
Oh.
Fantastic Voyage or
Inner Space.
Inner Space. Well, Inner Space is like Bobak. We were talking about the first ever like subs. Inner Space, like that looks like a turtle, which was the first sub. You know, that little thing he's driving around through the veins or whatever. But Inner Space is funny. But I'll go next, so we don't go for too much longer. This is my favorite submarine movie. Say what you want. K-19 is my second. K-19 the Widowmaker because it's Catherine Bigelow and she's brilliant. But I have to say 3 is Down Periscope. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Down's Periscope is fucking funny though. No, my third favorite is definitely Hunt for Red October for sure. I love it. But I like, this little thing we went on of like talking about or wanting to do Crimson Tide just had me watching sub movies, and I wish I would have watched some more of the older ones, but then I was like, you know what? They're probably fucking boring.
No, they're not. Right. They're tense. In fact, one of the Navy movies that this one reminded me the most of was the Kane Mutiny. I thought that was sort of paralleled, but it was taken to a heightened state. Like I love the procedural. I love the rank structure. This is great. But like Run Silent, Run Deep, and The Enemy Below, like both of those that were brought up in this movie are both great.
Scotty, would you consider either the novel, movie, or both Sphere? Is that a submarine movie? Because they're on a thing. It's not technically a submarine because
within the classification of
it is technically a submarine because it is beneath the sea.
Yeah.
But
either way, it doesn't matter because that movie.
I watched that recently, and there is a hierarchy, but it also gets into some malarkey. Like there's no resolution at the end. Really, it just turns into shit. Like the cast is okay. Everybody's happy. Peter Coyote is there, and it's good.
Yeah,
until you start.
God rest.
So U571 is obviously I think a fan favorite. It's one of the most action packed.
I love that movie.
It's an intense movie as well.
That would be my fourth, by the way.
It really does feel like a true action movie where sometimes a submarine movie is a bit more of a thriller or an intense drama or whatever. But they really play up the action elements.
Jonathan Mostow, who did.
Yeah, he does a great job.
T3,
Terminator 3. I have an interesting story about U571, if you'll just allow me 45 seconds. I went to go see it in the theater, and as it was playing, there was a thunderstorm happening outside of the theater, and when the depth charges hit the U571, there was a big explosion, and then all of the power in the theater went out, and the emergency lights went on.
Wow.
And that is as much of the U571 as I've seen, because as far as I'm concerned, that was the end of the movie.
That's kind of cool.
Emergency light, red or blue.
That's actually pretty cool. There's all these.
Finish it. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
I know,
really.
But I kind of like that feeling, dude. Like I like that my version of U571. They got the depth charges and the dead.
The thing that separates U571 so much is that it was a World War II sub. So, like we said earlier, Bobek, like you have to crawl through it. It's constantly soaking wet. Like there's no I mean, they even show scenes. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but like when they're sleeping in bed, there's still like leaking water coming through it. Like,
yeah,
the whole ship is just like there's nothing comfortable about it, you know. And they weren't supposed to be out there for 6 months at a time like they do now. You know, they weren't built for that, you know. But
yeah,
still, and God, that movie, like, and I think Matthew McConaughey is so fucking good in that movie, and he didn't really get any credit for it, but just yeah, like that's the movie that really, like you guys are talking about, you have to be quiet. You have to be quiet, and it makes sense back then, you know.
Well,
like,
yeah. Well, and as you said, the hull is tinfoil.
well, it's just different. It was just different. Yeah. Now those things are like skyscrapers turned fucking horizontally, you know.
It's not like it's unavailable.
It's a really good movie. It's my number 4 for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
and then Down
Periscope.
Periscope.
Those Gene Hackman movies.
Down Periscope, I'll never forget. Holly. They give Lauren Holly's character the smallest uniform ever so that her boobs pop out.
Of course. And I thank the director.
Or am I thinking of McHale's Navy?
I never saw
McHale's Navy. I don't remember which is
Navy
which and who's in what.
Yeah, they're the same. They're both like goofy, spoofy Navy movies.
Oh, it reminds me of that movie I saw, Das Boobies.
Das Boobies.
There's another, I guess a couple years, I think, after U-571 sub movie that was directed by David Tathoy, who did Pitch Black. It's called Below.
David Thuy.
How you say his last name.
Yeah, he wrote the Fugitive. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this one, Below, it's directed by him and written by Darren Aronofsky.
That's a horror movie. I love it.
It's kind of it's a ghost story set on a submarine, but that adds a cool element. Like submarine movies have their elements that are already prepackaged of, you know, people are going to be dealing with a situation underwater, the pressure of the depths, something's going to go wrong mechanically, they're going to have to solve it, someone's going to drown, whatever, like those things. But then like one of the fun aspects of a film like U-571 or Below is they add that extra element. Like U-571 has a crew who now has to try to figure out how to handle a German submarine. They don't understand the language. They're not familiar with the submarine, but they have to get quickly into action to solve their issues. And I think that's a really cool aspect of that movie that makes it stand out. And then with Below, it's got this horror movie ghost story element taking place on a World War II submarine. And it's filled out with a great cast. I can't remember everyone's names that are in it, but there's a ton of people. Bruce Greenwood is the lead, but there's a lot of other people. Olivia, whatever her name is, from Sixth Sense, the girl. What's her name?
I don't know.
The wife in Sixth Sense. It's got a ton of other great actors, but Below.
You mean the mother in Sixth Sense?
No, not Toni Collette. The wife, Olivia.
Olivia Colman.
No, it's not her. It's not her.
No, not Olivia Colman.
Maybe I'm saying the wrong name, but the wife in Sixth Sense.
Yeah, no, Olivia something, but not Colman. yeah. We'll call her Olivia Shyamalan.
Let's call her Charles.
But yes, Below.
Below.
Olivia Williams.
I forgot about that one, John. I saw that in the theater because I was a huge fan of Session 9, which came out a year before it, and people were like, "Oh, this is Session 9 and a sub," and I was like, "Okay, I got to see this." And it wasn't really that, but
I can see the similarities, though.
Yeah, there's similarities. Oh, that movie was good. I totally forgot about Below. Definitely better than Down Periscope. Yeah.
The image on my screen right now is from a movie called Gray Lady Down, 1978. I remember seeing this on TV when I was pretty young. So it's like kind of my first experience with a submarine movie. And I remember it, you know, it has the tropes that stick with you in a submarine movie of, you know, the people stuck in a situation, the water's filling up and somebody has to selflessly put themselves in a scenario where they know they're going to die to stop a leak, to close the door. It's actually this scene right here. There's a couple different characters that have to selflessly kill themselves, but
your definition is turning the Poseidon Adventure into a Also a Gene Hackman film.
There you go.
Into a
Yes.
submarine
Yes.
movie.
There you go. We got 2 Gene Hackman submarine movies.
There we go.
Submerged boat movies.
Well, yeah, no, but that's the thing, is that's where you're pushing the boundaries.
But no, this one's it's a military submarine. It's actually it is
Oh,
a
okay.
nuclear submarine. It's
Sure.
taking place in the 70s is when this film takes place. They get hit by a boat in fog that doesn't notice the submarine, and they end up on the bottom. And then a submersible is sent down to try to assess the situation, see if anyone can be rescued. And that's the submersible is run by David Carradine. Is he the one from Kung Fu? Is he the right Carradine?
I think that's the guy.
So
who,
David
yes.
Carradine, and
Yes.
he's in every movie. He plays in Superman. He's the henchman to Gene Hackman.
Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty and David Carradine are like the guys running the submersible, and Stacy Keach is the captain of the boat on the surface.
Oh,
Charlton
my.
Heston is the captain down below. Ronnie
Chuck.
Cox is the
Ronnie
guy
Cox.
closing the door right there.
From Deliverance?
For our Freudian look at submarines, Ronnie Cox is in a submarine filled with semen.
That's what she said.
Yeah, but that's what all submarines are full of.
Can we give Joanne the floor to give off some submarine favorites?
Well, I haven't seen that many.
Or do you
I did see Duck Boot in the theater. I do remember that. I don't remember an
Did
intermission.
you call it that boot? Because that's what I call it. That boot.
Das Boot.
The boat.
I don't remember there being an intermission, but it's been a long time, so there could have been one.
Did we
and
see
then,
it in the theater together?
What's that? We
Did you go
probably
with me
did.
to see it in the theater?
You or Tony, maybe one or the other, because I remember, or maybe both of you. I remember Tony.
In the theater, though. Do you remember seeing it in the theater?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw it.
Then it's probably you and I that went together.
Okay, yeah. I do remember Tony making a comment though about like some movies that whenever the tension gets high, it always comes down to like spinning something.
Oh, that was John.
Maybe it was John.
No, that sounds like a Tony comment.
And John, you convinced me with The Abyss, so the Abyss is up there too. And sorry, Scotty, but you made a good point. And and now Crimson Tide is one of my favorites too. I actually never saw. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen The Hunt for Red October.
Ding dong! Ding dong!
Sorry.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to add the Hunt for Red October to my list now too.
Well, I guess that's technically the first Jack Ryan movie, but nobody really thinks of it as that.
I do. In fact,
I mean,
there's
I do
only
too.
one Jack
I
Ryan
do too.
movie,
Otherwise,
as
I
far
wouldn't
as
have
I'm
said it. But like
concerned.
a lot of people don't really think of. They think of Hunt the Red October.
I don't
They
want to
think
know these people.
well, whatever. Sorry, Joanne. Continue.
No, that's about it. Yeah, those are. I can't think of many. Well, I did see Inner Space, but that one is.
So the Jack Ryan character started out in The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah. In fact, that's his only movie.
Alec Baldwin is Jack Ryan in that movie.
Yeah.
Was he the guy hunting October?
Yes.
He was the red guy hunting
He
down.
was the red guy hunting October. What was? I mean, I hate October, but
No, but it was a weird way to introduce Jack Ryan thematically, to put him in like a submarine movie where he's not really the main guy, but he's the catalyst, I guess. But yeah, it was a little strange. And then they moved on with Harrison Ford, who was kind of boring in the role personally.
Yeah, I think Alec Baldwin's my favorite.
Yeah.
The people
Same.
who played the role.
Same here. Well, I think John Krasinski's the best.
Oh, I haven't seen any of that.
But he's done 3 seasons of a show. It's not fair,
Mm-hmm.
The whole
Is there
thing
an
about
episode with
Harrison
Sean Connery?
Ford, Clear and Present Danger, that whole series of movies, those were all Jack Ryan movies.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna have to
also,
watch them again.
But also Ben Affleck played him in what do they call that?
The Sum of All Fears.
Sum
I
of All
rewatched
Fears.
that recently. It's a lot better than when I first saw it.
And then Chris Pine plays him in like 2011 or something.
Oh God, that
in a film
movie
just
is
called Jack Ryan.
Fucking, it's called Jack Ryan Ghost Recruit or something.
Yeah, I think it's Ghost Recruit.
Is fucking awful.
Shadow Recruit.
No,
Yeah,
it's
that
great.
movie is terrible.
Don't listen to Ben or anyone else. It is an amazing film.
No, you
Kenneth
do not think
Branagh
that. You are
is
so
learning Russian.
That movie is terrible.
Captain, no, you gotta
Jack Ryan from The Office.
Yeah, John Krasinski.
No, yeah, but that's in the TV show.
Well, yeah, it's a Amazon show. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, the guy
on the
from
TV.
The Office is not the sexiest man alive. I'm just gonna let you know right now. It's a Brad Pitt. It's a George Clooney. It's not like, hi, I'm from Dunder Mifflin.
Scotty, since you seem to be somewhat of a fan of the Jack Ryan movies, is it acceptable, even though we completely know this is wrong and I'm just making it up in my head, is it acceptable to watch...
Stark, I can't see you. Where are you, Stark?
Is it acceptable to watch Air Force One as an exciting trilogy capper with the other two Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan movies? And just say, whatever, he's Jack Ryan as the president. I don't care what name he actually has in the movie. I'll just pretend they're calling him Jack.
You know what? I am going to rewatch Air Force One with that specifically in mind because in the books, Tom Clancy makes Jack Ryan the president.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I feel like that just should be.
That's
part
true.
of it.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm fine
It's
with
kind
it.
of like how in The Rock, Sean Connery is Bond, right? It's like it's similar. It's like it's never said, but you can kind of do your own headcanon, yeah.
I'm fine with that.
No.
Well, both of those movies,
Yeah,
The
no,
Rock
totally.
and Air Force One, are part of our potential
Losers always complain about their
die-hard
best.
bracket. But we're not. We got some other
Winners go
brackets.
home and fuck the prom queen. Sorry.
By the way, Scotty, our next bracket, which isn't until late July when we do the spoofs, there
Yes.
will be a Gregory Hines movie in there.
Yes, there will.
History of the World Part 1.
Gregory Hines is in there? Fantastic.
Yeah. Now you're more excited for that one.
I am more
He is
excited.
so
I'm always
excited. He's like, fuck.
Gregory Hines? Big fan. Big fan. And that was specifically in reference to Running Scared. So, that was not a facetious take on Gregory Hines.
No, that was for Wolfen, dude. What are you talking about?
Was that for Wolfen?
Well, that's
Oh,
why
yeah,
you're wearing
your hat. You're wearing the
Here,
wolf.
watch it again. Watch it
Oh,
again.
I was
Gregory Hines?
That's why you're wearing a
Definitely for
Chewbacca
Wolfen.
nose.
I love the Chewbacca's. He was great in that too.
You know what, John? That reminded me. I thought of another spoof movie, but the bracket's already pretty well set. But what do you think about Fatal Instinct?
It was
do
on my
love
second
that.
tier list. Like
That movie
if
is
we-
funny as fuck, dude.
Well,
Armand
it-
Desante.
to be honest, the
Armand
movie would
dancing in high
probably
heels.
Great in that
the movie it would have to boot off would potentially be Loaded Weapon number 1,
Oh no.
or possibly if we don't do the
We
Austin
can
Power
boot off a
movies,
sequel or something, right?
which I kind of question whether the Austin Power movies fit the mold.
I think the
specifically.
first one definitely does, but
Well, that's why I was still trying to have all the movies, all the best of that era. And if we're
Dude.
taking it through 2000, then that includes part 2. Like, if we
Dude,
want to include
fucking-
Scary Movie, then we should include 99, which has Austin Powers 2.
Dude, oh man, fucking Fatal Instinct is hilarious though. Well, it's very time capsule because it's like making fun of like Sleeping with the Enemy and Basic Instinct and all that shit from the 80s. But dude, that scene, I just watched it on YouTube where Armand Desante is doing the changing his outfits and they're playing Brown Eyed Girl. That is a fucking hilarious, dude.
I may revisit it then just to check it out. But
I like
had
our
it in
list
the
as
second
it is.
tier, but
I like our list as it is, but I was just
can only
wondering
go
if you even
16.
thought of that movie. Yeah, because Jill says hi, Pie. And then Lemon Pie says, how did you get footage of Scotty on the way to the convenience store? Convenience store.
I guess that's
and then Looks Good says Star Trek is the best Jack Ryan movie. Lemon Pie in a Captain America outfit. I'm just happy you guys are still here. Thanks. We've been hanging out for a while. Sorry. Can you play the full clip of Captain? Oh, yes, I'll do that once again. We're going to play that a lot. Yes. There's so many things that are hilarious to me about that clip because that was a real movie. We won't get into it now, but why did they keep the plastic sound when it hits the guy? Why did it take so long to come back? Why did the guy not even look backward? There's so many things in that. Plus, there's two different clips of him. Well, there's two cuts of him throwing it at the same time. So
the funny thing is, this is the same sound designer as Crimson Tide.
Oh, man.
Don't quote me on that. I got it from the internet.
I've made a decision. I'm captain of this boat. That's shut the
I think the sound designer put in the rubber ducky squeaky. That was not. That definitely was not me.
It's a plastic
Scotty. So, John, anything else you want to go over? I love this movie. My favorite submarine movie.
Well, I guess the one thing that I'll say, Ben, a little shocker.
Yeah.
On the rewatch of this, I'm starting to question. I think this might be my favorite Tony Scott movie, even over. And I love True Romance.
Yeah.
And I know that True Romance is in your top 3, top 2.
No, that's not a shocker, though. I mean, it's my second favorite.
You know what it is? It's what Bobak doesn't like. It's the bottle aspect, the focus in this movie. Whereas True Romance is great, but it's a bit more sprawling and kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
The focus of this movie and the intensity, I kind of think this is my favorite Tony Scott movie now.
I love that. There's nothing. I mean, it's my second favorite. You know, it's Tony Scott.
And I would say True Romance is my second. If I'm making this official, it would just be a flip flop. But yeah, I kind of feel that way now.
My third favorite is also a Denzel one. It's Man on Fire. Fucking love the fucking shit out of that movie, man. I fucking love it so much. And then probably Top Gun. But that's fine.
Was this their first collaboration?
It was.
Okay.
It was. Yeah. Then they did a bunch of movies together afterwards. But yeah. And
Yeah.
then they did Deja Vu, which was not so great. But, it was so not great. We didn't even put it on the bracket. John.
I love Unstoppable, but I'd have to say that top 3. Yeah, this makes the top 3, but it's Beverly Hills Cop 2.
I
knew it.
Can I just say I love that Tony Scott went out with Unstoppable because I really love that movie, and I love it that it's not violent. Yeah, it's based on a true story, but only loosely. It's very tense. Denzel and Chris Pine work so good off each other in that movie. It's just a fun roller coaster ride, literally roller coaster ride. And I always wanted, I know Tony Scott did the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 remake, but a real train movie where it's just a fucking train going.
Runaway Train.
No, yeah, Runaway Train. And he just nailed it. And that was his last movie. And I'm glad it was because it was not even close to his worst movie. It wasn't his best. It was mid-tier. But
which Nicolas Cage movie did he do? Was it Knowing?
No, he didn't do that. That was Alex Proyas.
I don't even know if he did.
Didn't he do?
Nah,
he did
the good one. He did the good one.
Okay, that makes sense. That sounds.
Oh yeah, but we know how Bobak feels about Nicolas Cage after the bracket. Yeah. No, I don't think he did a Nicolas Cage movie. To be honest with you. Yeah, no, that would have been cool. Actually, as much as I love Gone in 60 Seconds, how much cooler would it have been if Tony Scott did it?
Well,
I say that often. I love those
You wouldn't
hypotheticals.
have one of his most forgettable, probably, Spy Game. Is that?
Yeah, not great, not great. Just kind of.
I
boring.
like Spy Game a lot.
It's not a bad movie. It's just like John
It's
said.
kind of forgettable.
Yeah, it's very forgettable.
Yeah, it is.
His worst
To
movie.
my point, Gone in 60 Seconds was forgotten in 60 seconds.
Yeah, I love, dude. I loved it when you said that. That was funny. But I think Tony Scott's
I
worst
love
movie is
Domino.
That's my least favorite Tony Scott movie.
I love Domino.
The only thing good about
my
that
mouth.
movie,
I threw up all over the place.
dude, the only thing good about Domino is that he revives a bunch of Beverly Hills 90210 characters and puts them in the movie.
I think that, okay, this is so weird, but like Domino is, I love Domino for its ensemble craziness. I think that it's also like, it's got Tom Waits in it. Like,
no, I get it. It was
like
just him
Dabney
going.
Coleman shows up and he
nuts.
has no lines. Like, I don't understand the movie, but whenever I watch it, I'm just like, ooh, Keira Knightley. Hey, look at that. There's Mickey Rourke being actually something that is visually appealing.
75-pound Keira Knightley like beating the shit out of dudes. I'm just like, come on, man.
No, the movie's woke. Domino is woke.
No, dude, I'm not one of those guys. That's not what I'm saying. This movie was way before that. I'm just saying, as a film person, that's just not believable. She is like a twig, you know?
Yeah. No, I know. That's what makes it badass. It's like superheroics. It's not. I didn't go looking for a fucking documentary, man. I went to go see attractive people doing amazing things. She was a stripper hitman bounty hunter. She was the
you know
son
what? Really,
of the guy for Manchurian Candidate.
And John would agree with this. A really underrated Tony Scott movie was his first film, The Hunger, which is kind of excellent. It's really fucking good. And it's very stylized. It doesn't really stick with the style that he went with later, but you see all those things coming in, you know, from his music video past and stuff like that. Plus, it has Susan Sarandon's breasts, and it has David Bowie. Anyway,
and his breasts.
Hey, Jill says, Scotty, you can read this one.
Oh, Jill says it was Gregory Hines' first movie, but he was so good.
Gregory Hines?
Absolutely.
He's talking about History of the World Part 1. That was, I guess, his first movie, which she said she watched for the first time today. So, Jill, are you watching the spoof movies to join us in July? I sure hope so.
That would be rad. Have
you sent the list to anybody, Ben?
Just Helmick, because I think he would be funny on it. Well, yeah. Because if we're gonna do another bracket, I want to cut down the number of people.
Well, the good thing is that next one, the spoof one, is only half the amount of movies. It's 16 movies.
Right.
When we get to the Arnold versus Sly, it's back to 32 movies. But
no, I get it. And we cut down the amount of movies. We cut down the amount of people by a little bit, and then we only really talk about those one movies in that first round. And then you can say one or two things about like why it's beating this one, but we can't go off on tangent.
No, we'll get our pace going, and yeah.
By the way, I'm re-editing that 9-year anniversary stream of just the bracket. And the bracket, out of the 8-hour stream, the bracket was only 3.5 hours.
But
so I'm breaking it down
into like an hour or something.
Unfortunately, not that short because there were so many movies, but it's
you
probably going to be about
you don't have to
2.5
use everybody's, like, you can edit it in a way where not everybody has their opportunity to talk every time.
You know what? You're right. I'll just cut every time
edit
Scotty
the most
talks.
entertaining
I'll
parts
cut
of
it out every time Scotty talks. That's what you're saying.
Or you can cut it out every time I speak. It's fine.
Tony Scott directed The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments of like, oh, I haven't seen that and stuff. So there's plenty you can cut out.
A lot of George
Lily,
Michael directed things.
Lily, would you read this one? Lily read
wants
this
to put a pencil in my
Probably,
whiskey.
she's
I don't like
probably
it.
smart enough to read it, actually. But
She looks
Just
like she's
realized my friend Mark D with a C clips this movie. Well, I said that Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer.
Well, I said that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer, and that the Mobius Silver Surfer was shit. And Benefield's a big Mobius fan, and things got out of hand. I pushed him, he pushed me.
Now, everybody that reads comic books knows that Kirby Silver Surfer is the only true Silver Surfer. Now, am I right or wrong?
You're right, sir.
You're a fucking nerd. You're a fucking nerd.
I played that because I could tell that Jill didn't watch the show earlier when we actually played that clip. So
Yeah, but it's a fun
we did.
clip.
We did acknowledge that scene. We did acknowledge that scene.
Anything less? You should have joined the Air Force.
All right, do you guys want to call it a night? Anybody have any last thingy bobbers to give over here? Or?
I just love this movie. It was a great psychodrama. It got into the military propaganda jargon and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, I was laughing at it, but at the same time, it gave me a little more to think about than I normally have. So it was definitely like, I would give it a B. I'm all about the B right there.
Nice. That's good for Bobak. Yeah. Joanne.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. So yeah, no, I really liked it because I like characters. I like great acting. I like drama. I like thrillers. So it's better than an average war movie for me.
I'm glad you finally saw it, and I'm glad you liked it as much as you did.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for making me see it.
Yeah, that's a big part of why we do this show is to get people interested in movies, whether they've heard about them for years or whatever. I am a little shocked sometimes the movies you say you haven't seen because we lived together for like 13 years and I watch 4 movies a day. So
hey, Bobak, this one's for you, Bobak.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the lights to turn back on here. All right,
I meant this comment.
Periscope down.
Yeah, I'll give this a this is a B plus. This is good. I liked it. It's good to see Gene. Denzel is always stellar, and the surrounding ensemble is surprising and entertaining. If you haven't seen Crimson Tide, check it out. And then get back to me because I have to watch U571 past the ending.
Yeah, you got to watch the rest.
I think you'll really like it. Yeah, really like it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Since John is gone, I'll give my final thoughts. To me, it looks like John is opening up a container. Oh, there he is.
Periscope down.
I love Crimson Tide. It's a 10 out of 10. It's an A plus. The acting stellar. The cinematography is amazing. Tony Scott never let me down. R.I.P. I love you so much. I'm not gonna cry. I promise. First director I ever loved in my life was Tony Scott. Watching his films, and this is one of his best. This is his second best to me. First, second, whatever. John, you go.
I already said my piece. I'm all good.
Oh, okay. Well, then good night, everybody.
I'm glad we got to do this show. I thought of doing this show back when Gene Hackman passed away. And it was kind of already on my radar that, anything we can do that kind of is an anniversary show. So I'm always like looking at, okay, what came out in 95? What came out in 85? What came out in 75? And it was like just staring us in the face. Crimson Tide, we both love it. It gives us a chance to talk about Gene Hackman, Tony Scott, James Gandolfini, all these people that we've lost. So I'm glad we were able to get this awesome panel together, get some new viewers, get Joanne to check out this movie or whatever. So it was a great time having everybody join us for this one.
Yeah, and it's nice to I always have this gut feeling on who should be the other person that comes on, and I just thought of Bobak because I was like, I think he likes this movie, and then I found out you didn't really see it, but then you're so dedicated, you watched it, And you had a shit ton to say about it after you
Dude, I
watched
love
it.
doing this with you guys. It's a highlight of my week. Gives me something to look forward to, and I love it. Thank you.
Plus, you're
Yeah.
into history, so add
Yeah.
some.
Well, that was the main thing I thought of. I'm like, Bobak probably knows, I mean, this is a fictional story, but and he did. He
Yeah,
knew
but-
about the old submarines and shit.
Right. Exactly.
I do have some stuff I want to ask you guys about other movies after this, like when we're destroying.
Did you just drop your daughter?
Yeah, no, she just took the light down. Yeah, she just pulled the light off the desk, but now she's putting it back on the desk. Good job, big girl. Thank you.
Hey, really quick, Scotty, what do you have coming up? I know you got some Phantasmagorium business coming up soon.
We're plowing towards the final reckoning. So over on the Phantasmagorium, we're going to be talking about, if everything goes according to plan, I'm talking to you, Steve. We'll be doing Mission Impossible Fallout tomorrow. And like I said, we're heading towards the final reckoning. And then on Friday, over on Anti-Derivative Jill's channel, we're going to be talking about the Muppet movie because it's fun and I love it.
Muppets.
The Muppet movie.
Yeah,
Moving
man.
right
Sometimes
along.
you
Moving
need
right along.
Exactly. Yeah, can you picture that? It's just fun. My God, have you ever seen a frog ride a bicycle? Well, you will.
And you will believe a frog can ride a bicycle, just like you will believe a man can fly. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
cool.
what
I'm doing.
Sweet. I'm glad you guys are finally doing Fallout. If you guys want to send me a link, I'll probably hit that up because I love that fucking movie. But yeah. So okay.
Yeah,
so
you're invited, sir.
Scotty's got that going on. I promise to have Lethal Weapon series revisited part 3.
Yeah.
This week. I wanted to have it last week, but I got too busy. So hopefully this week. And Cat, our fan favorite Cat, is coming out to Southern California, and we're going to be hanging out on Tuesday. So we'll take some pictures, maybe some video, and we're going to go see the new Final Destination movie. Me, her, and Josh. So that'll be really fun. I've never met Cat. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So.
Wow. Where does she live?
She lives in Sacramento, Scotty, right? Something like that. Well, she lives up in Northern California. I think it's Sacramento. Hey, right, Lily? Right? You're so much happier than you were earlier. It's from watching us, right? We make people happy. That's
pretty much it. She just likes to hang out.
All right, everybody. We're gonna say goodnight.
Yo,
love
Ben,
you guys.
do something after the live thing. That's cool.
Yeah, if you want to hang on for a few minutes, I can hang on. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you guys, John,
Thank you.
Scotty, Joanne, Lily, Bobak. We drink you cinema.
We drink it.